No Man's Sky
Anyone
was a
want
bucket full of poison.
anyone want a free dog? This one's a piece of shit, though, unfortunately.
You would not give him away.
Yeah, I would. He can eat my fat ass. My fucking thick booty.
That was the weirdest, most self-satisfied
Dog!
snicker I have ever heard.
I'm letting him out. He's going outside. He's going outside. Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 76 of the Thought Patrol podcast. We are back, me and Shawn, as always. Shawn, what's our topic for this week before we get into the rest of the show?
We are going to be discussing the different ways that we've looked at movies from between childhood and adulthood, and that all the way up to early 20s, because even though you start looking at things like an adult in high school, or maybe even before, depending on your development, for the most part, when you're in your 20s, you're still looking at things from a fairly juvenile person. Quite hits you with the snotty end of its dick yet. So, well, we're going to look at how we viewed some films as we grew up, as to how we view them now as an adult through adult lenses. You are still, in the vicinity of early 20s, so your perspective is going to be a little bit different. But even so, looking at things, how you looked at them, in elementary school time and middle school time, as to like later high school and now, is going to be drastically different. So that's what we're going to run with.
Okay, I like that. Yeah, it's been a long day, audience. I had a pretty well. I guess we'll go in everyone's week, since that's what I'm bulldozing right into. I'll go first for the first time, but I'm so distraught right now.
God bless you,
I was blown into such a negative mood. Like, I'm trying not to be a grumpy fucking grumpmeister for the rest of the show. And just getting on to do this, I was writing the notes. I'm like, man, I don't want to fucking do this right now. But yeah, I had a pretty awful day at work. Just some of the worst, when you're doing anything food related and food prep, and you're it's kind of fast food, which is kind of what I do being at Subway. The worst thing that you can have is when you just don't have stock. You don't have anything. You're out of ham, or you're out of cheese, or this thing, or your fucking toaster doesn't work. Imagine going to a Subway and them telling you, sorry, we can't toast your food. That was us all day. There's this little part in the toaster in the back of it. It's like a Magnus something. I don't remember what it's called. And it lets it's how it conducts the heat so fast. It uses magnets to do it, or some shit like that. So it was broken all day, and we were waiting for a technician to come in and fix it. And he was taking quite some time. And he finally got there maybe at 4:00. So we had already gone through our lunch rush, and we just basically had to deal with grumpy people all day. And then on top of that, we didn't have some of the meats, some of the cheese and stuff like that, because the truck was delayed as well. So just an absolutely horrendously frustrating and stressful day. And then I come home, really pretty chill, actually. I had brought home food. I was eating with Caitlyn. We were chilling out. And I had sat down. I was going to show her some songs. So this is technically her fault. No, I'm just messing around. Oh my gosh, she probably heard me from in her room. She's going to come stomping in here in a second, ruin the podcast. But
what the fuck?
So I was showing her some songs. I went to watch a few YouTube videos, because some of them were YouTube related and stuff. And I was leaned back. We had a couch that reclines. I was leaned back, and as I was leaning back, I was using my phone to switch to the YouTube videos, and I had it sit on my lap. And I went to lean. I was leaning back, and I had went to readjust myself. My phone fell in between what connected my part of the couch to the main part of the couch, which connected the other seat. And I'm oh shit. So I lean up. I don't even mess with the reclining part of it. I just lean up. It will recline, and then you could lean backwards while you recline. And as I lean up, the little part, whatever, the metal pieces that connects, it usually creates some kind of triangle. that shit came back onto the ground. Problem is, it wasn't touching ground. It was the corner of my phone, like a phone I've had for 3 weeks, and it's $1,000 phone. So I actually see it while I'm under the couch looking for it. I see it like pinned in its state, and I'm like, oh God. Like I immediately knew, like I just fucking destroyed that corner where that's pinned. And as I finally got it, I saw it's like the whole corner is basically completely cracked, like not even like a hairline, but straight like spider web bullshit going on in the entire corner. And like maybe 10% of the bottom of my phone, where like the bar is to navigate and shit like that, all of that is like fucked up, the LCD underneath the phone. So thank goodness, one good thing to see out of it is we do have insurance on the phone. So I have to go back to them, basically let them know what's going on, and then it's like a $300 deductible. So then they're gonna send me another phone, blah blah blah, that bullshit. But just like the day was really bad, it was starting to get a little bit better because I was home, and then immediately went right back into the bad, and it just put me in an awful mood. But here we are today. Happy to be doing the podcast at least. We got some stuff to talk about this week. It's going to be fun. But overall, the week has been good. It's just today has been a huge black mark on the rest of the week, and it's just completely fucked over everything. So that's highly unfortunate. But besides that, for video games, I've been playing Final Fantasy 14, Fallout 76, and some more Crosscode on stream. Really, 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 really enjoying Crosscode. Like, it's such a cool game. I love the idea of it. It's actually quite a lengthy game. I've heard it's somewhere between like 60 and 80 hours, depending on your difficulty. I think there's a harder mode. And it's like a $20 game. And it's like a indie action RPG. So something that like it's just like a lot of bang for your buck. And overall, the game's super enjoyable. The world and story is really cool. I'm enjoying the characters a lot, the combat, everything about it. It feels good. And I'm just excited to keep exploring that on stream with everyone else when we do get that opportunity again. I know it's kind of hectic with work and everything. So I'm thinking, besides that, Final Fantasy 14, I've started to gear my main up, trying to get them to close to max level, so I have at least one character that's maxed out when Shadowbringers does come, which will be like, I think it's like summer next year or maybe April, something around that time.
It's usually early summer when they do it.
Yeah, so that's when Shadowbringers will be coming. So hopefully I have a character fully maxed out for that, and then working on getting some more characters or more jobs to level 70, because it's all one character. It's not multiple characters. But besides that, I've been enjoying the games I've been playing. I've been playing more 76 because one of our friends, Tyler, picked it up when it was on sale for like $40. And I've been playing with him. I did start delving into using more power armor finally. So I recently fully completed the excavator set, which is it's a power armor set that miners use, and it was like a prototype set, and it actually increases your carry weight by like 100 pounds. So I went from 250 to 350, and that was like liberating. Like I had chains thrown off me. It was insane. Now I could carry a bunch of more shit. And then here we are now, and I'm almost at 350 again because I've got so much other shit that I've tried to fill that space in with. But still enjoying the game a lot. Still leveling. I think I'm close to level 70 right now. So I'd like to, maybe if I could get a few people that I know, there's a few that play in the community, Larik, Carlos, Frost, maybe if we could get everyone to a higher level, and maybe do one of the nuke things, because it's kind of like a mini raid, and it would be cool to do that with like 7 or 8 people if we can get the team together. And I think that'd be pretty cool, because I had a lot of fun doing it by myself. It's just there's a lot to it. It's like a 2.5 hour thing to get through. And I think it'd be pretty cool to launch a nuke and then go visit the nuke, kill some things, and try and get some good gear from doing that. So I've been enjoying the game. I still like the game. We have a question related to that we'll get to when we get to the mailbag. And overall, it's a fun game. I do like it. It's not perfect, obviously, and I don't think its current state is acceptable. Although I know that they're actively fixing it and patching it. Um, but I think that if Bethesda manages to provide continuous content in a decent time for the game to support it without charging for that content, I think they could build quite a community around this game, depending on the content that they push out. I would really love to see.
It's going to take a huge reversal.
One more time? You cut out.
It's going to take a huge reversal to earn people's trust back. Like the trust in Bethesda is at an all-time low right now.
Oh yeah, no, definitely, especially after the whole canvas bag thing. Although I read that they are now they restarted manufacturing for those things. So if you do have a collector's edition of Fallout and you have the stupid little nylon bag and you want an actual canvas one, you can send in a support ticket to Bethesda. You have to do it before January 31st, though. You can send in a ticket to them. They'll make a bag and send it to you to kind of right the wrong that they did. And you still get to keep the extra $5 or whatever of atomic points that they sent your way to. But they're actively trying to right that wrong, which definitely wasn't wrong. It was pretty stupid. But yeah, a lot of what they're doing now is definitely damage control in both the PR and just the video game as a whole, trying to fix things all across the board. But it was definitely a catastrophic launch, to be fair. But I'm just at the point where I don't really trust collector's editions. It'd have to be something very special for me to just straight out buy one, because I've heard hearing from like the Spider-Man one where the statue was kind of low quality, and now we have the 76 one where it's again kind of low quality stuff. I always feel like they're just overpriced goodie bags, and they're not ever really worth it unless they have things that are hard to fuck up. Like if they come with a soundtrack and an art book or something along those lines, those things are kind of hard to fuck up. But when it comes to like physical goods like plushes, clothing bags, maybe armor pieces or statues, sometimes I'm a little bit weary. I'd rather go through like third party companies that I trust and I know that their work is good, pay a little bit more money and get like a decent statue for something, rather than seeing like one in a collector's edition or something like that. So I don't trust them. To be honest, I usually don't. I'm not the biggest fan. Like the last one I got was Persona 5's, and I tried to get one for Nier, but it wasn't available in the States when I looked, and then it became available. It was available for like a day, and they sold out, and I didn't know, so it was rough. One day I will get myself a 2B statue. It will come, just not right now. But besides that, I've been good. The week has been overall good, detracting today, and I'm just excited to get back to playing some games, hanging out, and I'm thinking of anything else that I missed. I did watch a show. I started a show, actually it was Giga Lagaki. It was part of another community that belongs to a podcast that I listen to, and a few of their community members have also kind of headed over to our community to hang out that way as well, and that's the It's Obvious Gaming podcast. Awesome bunch of guys. Really enjoy their podcast, and I think overall their community is like some of the nicest people I've met on the internet. He had recommended me an anime called Radiant, which is like a new shonen coming out, and it's hit every story mark and beat to be just typical shonen. And for the most part, it's typical shonen. The animation's pretty decent though, and the characters are okay. Main character can be a little annoying, but I like the design of everything, and I like the world and the setting. So for the most part, it's average, but it's enjoyable. So, and I think there's a little bit of a charm to kind of like cookie cutter shonen if their setting is done right. And I kind of like the setting and the way that they have it set up, and I think it might be an enjoyable watch. Hopefully it doesn't run for 200 something episodes. And so far the animation for the first like 5 or 6 episodes have been pretty good. And I love the female character. What's her name? It's like Melly or some shit. What about you, Sean? Have you seen Radiant? I dropped my pen.
No, I queued it up, but I didn't actually get a chance to start it.
Oh. Okay. It's. I don't really know if I could recommend it at this point, to be honest. It's not. I mean, it's nothing extraordinary, but again, I think there's a little bit of a charm to like just typical shonen, like as a whole. Some people detest shonen though, so give and take. So that's been about my week though. Excited to get away from this week and move into the next one. Um, and yeah, work's been good. Everything else has been fine. Uh, Pretty cool. Pretty cool. How about you, Sean? How have you been, my friend?
My week at work was shitty, although I'm in a new department of my department, a new sub-department, so to speak. I switched accounts,
Moving on up
and
or
the new
moving on
account,
down?
uh, I'm not really.
Shifting sideways slightly.
Yeah, mostly. I would say that the largest benefit to everything is for several of the days the systems weren't in place for me to be able to do my job, so I got paid to sit there and do nothing.
Oh hell yeah, bro! I'm all about that kind
Um,
of stuff.
yeah, that was the only real advantage of doing it.
Is
Outside of
that
that,
French?
I played I played some Spyro. I played some Darksiders 3. I'll get into those later. I unboxed the $399.99 Darksiders Apocalypse Edition. The box is almost as tall as I am. It's fairly large. I have a whole shitload of pictures. I tried to send them to you. I am not sure how successful that was, but they will be, one way, shape, or form, they will be up in Discord by the time this
Yeah,
podcast goes
you can just
live.
upload them yourself. You know that, right? If they're
Yeah,
on your phone.
I was trying to upload them as a batch, and it keeps forcing me to do it piece by piece, which takes fucking forever and a day.
I mean, I'd
And I
have to do
think
it the
that's
same way if I were to do it. So,
archaic. But I mean, just in an email, like on a computer, you can put groups of shit together, but on a fucking phone, for some reason, it's like, nope, go back through the 11 steps and then select the next one. And then another 2 minutes later, you've got 3 in there. And then another 2 minutes later, you've got 4 in there. And then wait 8 hours for all of it to compile and send. And then you can do the next email with the next 8 pictures or whatever. So, yay, bullshit.
hell yeah, bro.
um, my assessment of telling people to not purchase Spyro still sits true. Or if you purchase it by the digital edition, I mean, that's what you're getting anyway. You can't play what's on the disc. It downloads almost everything all over again. So, and it took me a week, almost a week between Sunday. I between last Sunday when I got it, or last Saturday night when I got it, and this Sunday that just passed, I went over to my sister's house and was able to download what I needed so I could play it. And much as I suspected, I do believe that it is a $40 purchase. It was very fun for about 15 minutes, and then I was like, and then it was exactly what I expected. I expected the game to be something where I'd pick it up every so often and just enjoy playing it for a bit, and then put it down and not touch it for a few months, then pick it up again. It really is the kind of game series where you're playing it purely on nostalgia, not on its own merit. Like some games hold up, your Final Fantasy RPGs all hold up, especially six. Six is probably their most brilliant in terms of just overall writing and combat systems and shit. But
Speaking
there's
of
a
old,
lot of older
speaking of
games that
old,
don't live.
speaking of old JRPGs, bro, I think they're remaking Last Remnant. They
Oh,
have a
good.
remaster coming out for that, and it looks so good. Like the remake, like the graphics and the upresing and all that. Oh, it looks really
They
good.
need to. A lot of people haven't played it, so I think they should definitely do that.
Yeah.
I think Spyro, you need to play it. You need to enjoy it for what it is. But it's a children's game. You know, it's a children's game with a weird, wonky difficulty curve. Like some things are stupid easy, and then later on in the game, things are a little bit more like just crazy difficult for no reason. But if you really think about it, the age demographic is able to adapt to those things. People don't give them enough credit. I played impossibly difficult games when I was a kid and kicked the shit out of them. Maybe not all of them, but a good majority of them. So I don't see any problems with having difficulty spikes. It's just it's not a progressive difficulty spike. It's like things like one of the earliest levels is stupid difficult, earlier levels, and then later on, you got a bunch of just you can sleep your way through the levels, and then they get difficult, and then it's easy again. Like that doesn't make sense. But the games are fun. They look great. They play really well. You still have the same camera problems you did before. The controls are a little on the wonky side. But I'm glad I purchased it. It is the kind of game where I will go back and play it here and there and enjoy it exactly for that. It never was the kind of game where I would dump like hundreds of hours in at a time. Like games like Spyro and Crash and stuff like that are games where I'd play a level or two, put it down, come back to it a few weeks later, a few days later, depending on how many games I had. I never had a lot of games at one time, so I was used to pouring hundreds and hundreds of hours into one or two games, two maximum, until I had it beat, and then I would go out and buy another game because by then I'd have money. But these days, when we have like 40 or 60 or 80 games stockpiled like I do, it's so easy to just float around from game to game, get a little bit of instant gratification and dump it. So I will say that if you are looking for interesting little gameplay tidbits here and there, if you got some younger siblings or if you've got kids and you want to play a game with them, more to the point, them play a game and you watch and vice versa, like this is a really great game for doing that. It's obviously a one-player game, but it's a really good game for kids. It's easy for them to get their hands on and understand. And the mechanics are fairly simple.
Okay.
But yeah, they did it. Anyway, long story short is I'm not regretting that I own it. I am regretting giving Activision money for a game that was not complete or finished on disc as promised, which I think is a load of horse shit. As for Darksiders 3, I'll talk about that later. But yeah, that was really good. And that kind of brings me to where I am today, which is on the interphone with you doing stuff.
Nice.
Yay.
All right.
Outside of that, my week has been... I went out Saturday night to a place called Rock Bottom in Daytona Beach. It is very fun, cool place. Very interesting. Food and beer was good, and I wingmanned the shit out of my boy Andy with one of the most gorgeous young ladies I've seen in a very long time. And I wish him the best. Fun. Food was good. Beers were fairly tasty.
I'm glad you enjoyed yourself.
That's all I got, really. That was about the high point of my week.
I haven't like gone out with a friend to do something in such a long fucking time. Just, I don't know, man. I think
that counts as the first.
I don't recall those times anymore. Old man. I just go to work.
Oh, I saw our boy Mateo. I saw Hector beforehand. I went and chilled out with him at a Christmas parade for a few hours.
I heard about that.
Heading out.
Yeah, he was telling me about it on one of the streams that you guys went to go hang out. Pretty cool.
Yeah, I was inappropriate. A little bit more than usual, I think. I don't even know why. I was just something hit the obnoxious button in me, and like you're surrounded by like parents and kids, and I've never been particularly like kids love me, but I've never been what another parent would call kid friendly in terms of how I talk.
Mm-hmm.
Or what I talk about for that matter. And I was trying not to be completely inappropriate, but it just kept fucking happening. And Hector's girlfriend kept rolling her eyes and just kind of crossing her arms and desperately trying not to notice the dumb shit that I was saying.
Like I don't know that man. He stumbled in with us.
Yeah, he's got to be drunk, even though he looks completely sober right now.
All right, well, that's good. Let's move forward real quick, get a little bit further into our podcast. We have some housekeeping. Like I said earlier, we do stream on Twitch. Currently, we've been playing some Crosscode. If that game sounds interesting to you, I highly recommend at least checking it out. We do stream it. Now, for the streaming schedule, it has been fluctuating because of my work schedule. I am a closer where I work, so I do not have the time to stream at night, unfortunately. Although it is not every day that I close. So if you do want to keep up with the streams, you can either follow us on Twitch, where you'll get notified every time we go live, or you could hop into our Discord, where I announce what days we will be streaming and stuff like that along those lines. All the ways of connecting with us will be in the description of this podcast, or wherever else you are listening. You will find those methods of connecting with us down there. Also, if we talk about something this episode that interests you, that disinterests you, or that pisses you off, something along those lines, let us know in the comments below if you're on YouTube. Also, while you're there, feel free to subscribe. You get us every week on Tuesday at 8 a.m. Also, if you are listening to us on a podcasting service, feel free to subscribe to us there as well. We are on Spotify, Google Play, iTunes, Audioboom, iHeartRadio, Stitcher, and a few other places. Anywhere that is comfortable for you guys, we'd appreciate it. Also, you could follow us on Twitter at ThoughtPatrolPD. Check out announcements, polls, other things that we do over there. And the same thing applies with Facebook for the Thought Patrol podcast. You just search that. We also have our sister Facebook page, The Streaming Geek, where their reviews go up for just geek culture in general. You could check that out. Again, all these methods will be in the description of the podcast. Finally, iTunes reviews. If you want to help us out, help us show up a little bit more on iTunes and things of that ilk, feel free to leave us a review. Whatever you think we deserve. 3 stars, 2 stars, 1 star, half a star, a quarter of a star, stars. A third of a star, a fifth of a star, maybe a tenth of a star. Let us know. We'd love to hear from you guys. Just get some general feedback. We'd really appreciate it. So, moving forward, we have a mailbag. We have 2 mailbag questions, actually. So, first one comes from Sam. Our boy Sam, he changed his Discord name to Sam Pro the Purple Dragon, and I don't know why, but we will go ahead and read his question.
That's my favorite name so far.
He comes at us with, hey, nerds. Yeah, I called you nerds. What you going to do about it? Didn't think so. Anyway, my question concerns the news pertaining...
This motherfucker blowing up on the interweb.
Bringing fisticuffs, getting into a slap fight. Didn't think so. Anyway, my question concerns the news pertaining to Nintendo ending their creators program, which heavily restricted videos and streams, along with issuing numerous copyright claims with content containing Nintendo IPs. With this news, do you think Nintendo is heading in the right direction in terms of its behavior and understanding of how the internet and digital age works? Would this lead to more clear-headed decisions and lead them to becoming a more modern thinking and acting company? Sorry for calling you nerds. That was uncalled for and childish. Psych.
No, it wasn't.
Nerds. So he threw it.
Psych nerds. Very good, Sam.
Threw it back
I'm
at
proud
us.
of you. You're getting better.
Yeah, maybe.
I don't know. He's getting a slight mean streak. I'm a little proud of him. A little bit, just a teeny one. Even if it's pretend, it's still, I'm proud. It's baby steps.
Okay. So with Nintendo ending their creators program, I think initially the thing with when it comes to Japanese companies, and it's not every company, obviously, there's outliers, but we see a lot that they tend to be behind when it comes with just like, maybe I'm thinking of the proper word here, but like, oh my God, I can't think of the word.
I'd say companies more than individuals have a tendency to adhere to old-fashioned business ideals. The businesses tend to adapt slowly. They're very conservative with how they approach things. And again, that's a generalization. There's definitely a healthy chunk of them that are out there taking risks and shit. But there's a real heavy contingent to the Japanese business economy.
I can't think of the fucking word.
Your single guys, like for instance Kojima's out there taking risks left and right.
Oh yeah, dude.
The guy behind what was it, Platinum, and the dude that worked on like the Devil May Cries and Beautiful Joes and Dead or Alives and shit. That guy. I don't know if those are the same guy off the top of my head. I'm not remembering names right now because I didn't see this coming.
I don't
But
think
there are a lot of smaller companies that are out there taking risks because they have the luxury to do so. But the larger companies, because they're so financially pressured, because Japan really isn't making the money off of video games that it used to, or have been playing extremely conservative. So it doesn't surprise me that Nintendo was doing that. And while I feel it's a step in the right direction, I'm not expecting them to turn around and become, a much more liberal or free studio. I'm not expecting to see the kind of stuff that we've seen come out of some other studios that I would name, but for some reason I'm not pulling specifics right now.
I think a lot of it is initially it was more of looking at it in a different scope, where they were probably thinking of it in terms of like in the realms of copyright, instead of thinking it in more of the idea of like free advertising or free like again, I can't think of the word publication. I don't know what the word is I'm trying to think of, but like exposure for their IPs. And I think they're kind of just more of awakening to the idea that you can go about doing things differently than just, there's not just one way to do everything when you're trying to go for exposure. You don't just advertise, you can go through it through other ways, like content creators and things of the like. But you saw it from other companies. You saw the same shit coming out of the creators for Persona 5. Why can I not think of their name? Bro, I'm failing on names as hard as you are. Atlas. Yeah, they did the same shit for Persona 5.
Atlas is the publisher.
Yeah. Was same thing, but they restricted streams past a certain day in Persona 5, and I understand the idea of like spoiling stuff for yourself, but you're kind of signing an invisible contract when you go to watch content for a video in the efforts that you might possibly get spoiled for something that exists in the game, especially if it's further down the line. But the idea that they were straight banning people and issuing strikes on Persona 5 content, and then that's slowly kind of laid back and it's not as crazy as it is now, now that the game's been out for a while. I think that's just
unusual too, because all of their fandom has come from word of mouth. It's spread organically. It's not like they advertised the Shin Megami Tensei series over here. We didn't see anything for it. I mean, I've never seen an ad for any of their games except for maybe tiny ads that were put out by stores and things of that nature. Like, I've never seen one online. You barely saw them in gaming magazines back when those were a thing. Like, Shin Megami Tensei has grown very much organically. So it's very strange for them to take that tack. But I do think that when you are in the desperate situation that the Japanese video games industry is in, I think that you are much more paranoid of what happens when your property gets out from under your hands. And I think that it's understandable for them to immediately react a little Lars from Metallica-ish with all that, like with people down, like to just go a little too far or be a little overly paranoid of what's happening with your material. But I think that excuse only goes for so long.
Yeah.
You should be able to see from a proven track record exactly how that works and how it works to your benefit to allow streamers and Let's Players and other people in the media kind of give you that advertising, especially when you really don't have the budget for it. I mean, Nintendo is essentially Disney for video games, so they're always going to be that way. I mean, even if they lax up in one area, you can expect them to choke the shit out of you somewhere else. I don't expect like an overnight turnaround for Nintendo, but I think it is a step in the right direction. But bear in mind, that does not mean that they're not going to still claim strike people. This just means that program's over and the intended goal is to be somewhat more lax and allow people a little bit more freedom. But I'm not expecting anything at this point in time. I just think it's a move in the right direction. Yeah. But it could be just words on paper. You may not see much of a turnaround in terms of like YouTube culture and shit.
And the interesting thing when it comes to like creating content, when it involves video games and intellectual properties, a lot of the time with that, there's kind of like almost an unspoken bond between the person creating the game and the person creating the content for that game. because the person that created the game understands that if you have a big content producer make a video about your game, you're getting exposure. But there's no legally binding things going on. I mean, there's the Fair Use Act, but a lot of that can be, it's a lot of it doesn't really, it's not built for the common or for the environment that we exist in today with content creation and stuff like that. So a lot of it can be easily manipulated to still get copyright strikes on people and things like that. And fair use is kind of in a weird spot, because if a company is big enough and does want to strike your video down, they can. And you see it still happen today.
They're small, man. Look what happened to PewDiePie with that Fire.
Oh, Firewatch, yeah.
Firewatch.
Yeah.
And the owner copy striked him.
Yeah.
Because he didn't like him, not off of any kind of actual business need, but he actually just took the law and twisted it to his own end, which is extremely dangerous. And to that point, I mean, Pewds had already removed it once he found out the guy wasn't happy about it, and all he had to do was ask him, and he would have taken it down. He's never been the kind of person to try and start fights that way.
Also, another thing with copy striking too is you are getting that revenue for that video as well. So if it's a video that existed a while ago, and if it was, I don't know entirely how well it works, but I think it was also in an effort to get a portion of the income that video had made off of its views, the ad revenue, stuff like that. When you copy strike videos, you do get a percentage of that revenue, if not all of the revenue.
Well, it becomes your video.
Yeah. So crazy stuff, but
YouTube's doing a better job investigating those too. So it's not as nasty as it has been at points, but it's still difficult. Like, YouTube will never be a perfect service.
Yeah. So is it nice to see that Nintendo's actually acknowledging the environment that they're in? Yes, I would say so. I think that's the right step. Will they stick to this ideology? We'd have to wait and see. But definitely a good question, though. Thank you, Sam. Is there anything else here that we did not answer? No, I think we're good. So let's also move forward to Larik, who drops a question. With Fallout 76 getting dumped on, but having played it, knowing it is a solid game, what other games do you feel were over-criticized? Have there been any games that you jumped on the bandwagon of hating on to later play and love? So, Shawn, have you ever hated a game that you actually sat down to play and then ended up actually enjoying it? I hate this dog.
No, my hatred usually tends to be on point.
Okay.
Trying to think.
I tend, and I think it's well known if you've listened to us long enough, and when it comes to the group of friends that we have, that I sometimes tend to, more times than others, I guess, tend to fluctuate on my opinions of games, depending on, sometimes I'll say things with not too much of a basis to them, because like I haven't actually played the game in its entirety for the most part.
I want this to go on record, people. This is the first time Kyle has admitted to this, so I want you all to know. Like, I mean, don't get me wrong, his friends have known this for a long, long time, but yeah, it's good of you to find yourself there, Kyle.
I would agree that my opinion does change on games, like, but it's a lot of the time it'll be fluctuating between, like, I swear to God, this animal.
I'll never play that game again. That game is bullshit.
Yeah.
And then you play it again like 6 months later.
Yeah, it's a heat of the moment kind of thing a lot of the time. It really depends, because a lot of games sometimes, like Fortnite is a good example in the situation.
Destiny 2.
Destiny 2, yeah, is also, yeah, I guess so. I never remember like straight up hating Destiny 2. I wasn't a fan of where it was going, but they did fix it. But at the same, with like, so say in the realms of Fallout 76, I do believe that a lot of the criticizing of it does happen in the realms of what I sometimes tend to do with like a bandwagoning factor, where it's like, this isn't what I want, and I haven't put a single ounce of time into it, so it's automatically a bad game. And it's interesting because if you talk to now, there's obviously outliers in a lot of these situations, But for a lot of people that I've personally talked to that have played the game, like Lark, like Carlos, one of again the other community member, Get Some. I know I've been talking to him about it. He's enjoyed. A lot of people that have sat down and actually play the game, and put some decent time into it, do enjoy it for what it is, even if it does have its bugs and stuff like that. But then again, not expecting bugs from a Bethesda game is like walking outside and expecting the sun to not, or the sky to not be blue. They just happen. It's something. Now, is it right? Not necessarily. Are the bugs in this game breaking? In my experience, no. I don't know. I can't speak for the console environment, but for the PC, I haven't had any issues that have completely ruined my experience. I've had some things here and there.
There are a lot of people that have, though. I watched Angry Joe just get fucked over and over again by game-breaking bugs and shit.
Yeah, so I either have a shitload of luck, and I don't know what Angry Joe was playing on. He might have been playing on console, but I've heard that the console.
No, he's playing on computer.
Okay, well, I've heard a lot of bad things coming out of the console build of the game. But I have in my 50, actually we're getting probably closer to like 60 or 70 hours of time I spent in the game. I've probably had anywhere between 5 to 6 disconnects at this point, like actually being disconnected from the server, becoming unresponsive. And there's been bugs, but nothing that's like broken a quest line, nothing that has like actually ruined the game to a point where I could not continue playing it. I've had small inconveniences, yes, like having my house completely despawn, like just completely disappear. Now, the thing is, it was like as if my camp was moved. It's just the house didn't get put back, so it was stored. I just had to put it back down. Because I had it blueprinted, it wasn't a big deal. It took like half a second to get it back out into the world. But again, it's like a small inconvenience. I've never had anything disappear on me, although I've had perk cards like duplicate. Like, so I'd pick one and it'd give me 2 of them for whatever reason. But I agree that the game is buggy. It's not complete in its current state. And if that is something that can break the game for you, then I completely understand people hating on the game. I understand that. But when it's when the people that are hating on the game have not taken the time to investigate it or actually play a decent amount or watch a decent amount of the game, and it's like people telling you to hate on the game, or it's the idea that it's just not something you want, so it's automatically deserving of like a 2 out of 10 kind of score and stuff like that. I think if I were to rate the game, it'd be between like a 6 and a 7, probably reaching closer to a 6, but nothing along the lines of like a 2 or a 3, which I've seen from some sites. So for games that I feel were over criticized, it's kind of what is something that was over criticized? I don't really know, to be honest. I'm trying
to think of something I liked that nobody else liked. I've got one. I had to think about it, but
that doesn't really.
There's a lot of games I like that Kyle criticizes the shit out of, so that's a good place for me to start.
I guess. I mean, it doesn't answer the question, but go on.
Oh, what was the question? I forgot.
The idea is,
I thought of one.
What other games do you feel were over criticized? And I'm assuming he means by like in the realms of 76, by like a populace. And have there been any games that you jumped on the bandwagon of hating on initially to later play and love?
Oh yeah, never did that. No, I stick to my guns. But I did. I thought Vermintide got a lot of flack, and I mean, essentially, it was just a really good, in my opinion. I thought graphically it was decent. It was better looking than Left 4 Dead, and it played almost exactly the same. That's essentially what it was. But it actually had an overarching story, and the characters were unique. So each one held a different position on the team. You could play without any characters, or you could play with just one. They are able to stand by themselves. But I thought Vermintide got a lot of flack. Either criticisms for being derivative or criticisms for minor glitches or things like that when it first came out. And I thought it was really good. And I enjoyed playing it, but I couldn't get a lot of people to play it because there just weren't a lot of people playing it. No matter how decent the game was, it just either didn't get enough press, or there weren't enough people playing it, and a good chunk of its players are on computer. And Vermintide 2 is coming out soon, and I
It's
still
out.
haven't played through.
It's been out
Yeah, there
for
you go.
like
I haven't
3
played through
months.
the first through the campaign or the expansion campaign that I paid for on the original game, because I can't get anyone to sit down and play it with me. And it's so much fun. I had dreams of us getting a team and going in and having as much fun with that as we did with Left 4 Dead. And I just couldn't get it. And I've heard more, yeah, mostly Kyle complaining about it. But when I went online and read reviews, the reviews were, average to good. But there weren't any stellar reviews or anybody that enjoyed playing it as much as I did. But that's the closest I can come.
I can answer the second part of the question, and I'd say Fortnite. I've also had kind of the shift a lot with Overwatch, where I enjoyed it a lot initially. I didn't like the way that the path that the game was heading, and it slowly became something that, even though I wasn't playing it actively to the point, but looking through patch notes and seeing where the game was going, I was not a fan of Overwatch's where it was heading. I'm not a fan of its future, and I'm still not really a fan of it. And I think it's more and more people are kind of falling into that line of thought as well. So that's kind of a reverse, where I enjoyed the game a decent amount at first, and then slowly began to not like it, and then now it's kind of taking. I think Blizzard does an awful job balancing their game, all of their games. I think they do a bad job because I don't think they listen. They're not in tune with their community. I mean, you've heard that a billion times over and over in regards to Overwatch, Diablo, WoW. You hear from a lot of people that they're not in tune with their community, and I think I started to see that with Overwatch, and that it slowly became a game I did not enjoy. And then I like also to just shit on games that other people like. I don't know, it's like an awful trait of mine. But if someone's like, "Oh yeah, dude, I did really good on Overwatch or something," I'm like, "What's Overwatch?" Or I'll like fuck with them, like fuck Overwatch, stuff like that. And it was funny. I talked to a Handsome Jack, or Alex, that we hang out with, K-Jow. It's got a few names. And oh my god, where was I going with that? Where the fuck was I going with that sentence?
You liked it, and then you didn't like it.
That, yeah. But I was. Why did I bring up Alex? There was a reason I brought him up.
I don't know.
Oh my gosh! Wow, I can't believe that just completely.
Like playing Overwatch with people, but I've never thought it was the kind of game that Hector used to think it was, or Nick thinks it is. Like, I never thought it was this God's gift to fucking gaming. I just had a whole lot of fun. When that game is on, it is on. When you're with friends and your teamwork's on point and you're communicating, it's a lot of fun playing with friends like that. But I hate what they do with the loot boxes, and I hate, you wanting to get together with friends and not being able to do that and whatever. But that's just an entirely different thing.
Yeah. So, but games that I feel were over criticized, I'm not too sure, to be honest. Usually games that get like complete fucking shit on, for the most part, I'm either indifferent or I'm okay with them getting completely fucking shit on. And then besides that, a lot of the time it's just average to good. Not too many games. Oh, I guess No Man's Sky, although it was an incomplete. This fucking dog, I swear to God.
No Man's Sky
anyone
was
want
a bucket full of poison.
Anyone want a free dog? This one's a piece of shit, though, unfortunately.
You would not give him away.
Yeah, I would. He can eat my fat ass. My fucking thick booty.
That was the weirdest, most self-satisfied
dog
snicker I have ever heard.
I'm letting him out. He's going outside. He's going outside. Shawn, entertain them. He's going outside.
You fucking do a Grinch snicker. That's all I'm saying.
You know what? I don't even know why. I don't even know why I podcast.
Last time you told me to entertain them, I did a song and dance routine, and you criticized me. So
I didn't hear what you said. I didn't have my headset on. But so you could have said a bad word, and I want to know. Uh, but
Bad word.
every time I have the dog in here, he always makes it his goal, his like main, his MMO to
It's
fucking
MMO.
to come down here and just make a fucking mess. Like he'll sleep for an hour and he's like all of a sudden, bro, I gotta do something. I gotta jump down here and I gotta do something. So I should just record with him out of the room so he's not a fucking horrible disturbance to anyone that might be listening on headphones at a decent volume because he's so fucking noisy. What was I saying? Yeah, No Man's Sky, although I think that a lot of the criticism that came to it was because of over expectation. Now that's no one's, or that's none of the gamers' faults in that realm. Although I from all of what I saw from No Man's Sky, I never thought like this is going to be the game that will blow everyone's socks off kind of thing. I just thought it looked like a cool exploration game. But for some people thinking like this is the game I'm going to be playing for the next 30 years and I will give it to my grandson as a gift from the gods kind of thing. I never really expected that from the game. So I think a lot of it was over expectation. So and in the idea that it was hyped up so like absurdly, I don't know if that's the right word, but whatever, by the company, by Sony and all that stuff. I think that that's more their fault than the gamer's fault, but I still think that even after all that died down, I think the game was overly criticized just because everyone it was cool to do. And in the way that news travels and people get views and clicks and all that, it's all about taking what's popular to hate on or love on and continuing to do it. So it just always becomes this snowball effect, which is what we're seeing with 76. Everyone puts in their title of their video, this game's fucking awful and this is why blah blah blah, all in the effort that they know that the 80% or 60% whatever people that are like, oh yeah, this game I haven't ever played, it is fucking terrible and this dude's gonna tell me why, and then I'll have ammunition to fight against people that like it, blah blah blah. It's how people get their information. They don't sit down and do it in where they're actually experiencing it for themselves, which is understandable when stuff's expensive. But I think a lot of the times it can lead to a bandwagoning kind of hate. And I think you can bandwagon the other way too. I think people have given a lot of praise to Rockstar for Red Dead Redemption. And although it's a great fucking game, I think that in a realm, it almost gets to the point sometimes where it's fanatical and it gets to the point where they can do no wrong kind of thing. And I don't necessarily think that's true. So I think it could go both ways, but I hope that answers your question, Laura. Do you have anything else to add here, Sean, before we continue?
No.
Okay. Oh, well, thank you for your question, you both. Appreciate it. If you guys want to send us a question, you can do it through a few ways. There's Discord in our mailbag section. It's the best way to do it. Easiest way for everyone, and then you can go about your day. You could also send us to us at Gmail, ThoughtPatrolcast@gmail.com. You can send us to us that way. On Twitter with the hashtag TPMailbag. You can do it that way. Add us on Twitter. The Facebook page, any of the methods that you find to connect with us, just use the hashtag TPMailbag and we'll use that in the show. We'd appreciate hearing from you guys, see what you guys would like us to talk about. There's no filters here. It could be about fucking anything. How many babies have you stepped on and you're like blah blah blah, anything. We don't give a shit. We'll talk about it. So with all the
We totally step on babies.
yeah. I've maybe accidentally stepped on at least a baby or two, maybe 3. You never know.
That's what they're there for.
Yeah, I don't know. It was squishy and then crunchy in some parts. It could have been a cockroach for all I know, like a really big cockroach. I don't know why that lady kicked me out of her birthday party, but whatever. Bitch. Oh. I'm tired. Like, I'm really fucking tired right now.
I was totally with you. I was with you, and then you're like, there's like a really big cockroach, and I don't know why that lady kicked me out of her birthday party. And I'm like, I can't help you, man. I don't really don't understand. Like, I can't help you.
It's okay. This is what lack of sleep and immense frustration does to you. All right, let's move forward. We have box office tops. Sean, what's first? What's first place?
Spider-Man into the
It's not out yet.
Spider-Verse.
It's not.
Goddamn wishful thinking.
I think it comes out on the 5th, I think. This week, this like Friday? That's the 7th, never mind.
I was really looking forward to going to go see it. Like, and
It looks
now I have to
good
wait.
AF, bro. I'm excited. I love the aesthetic to that movie, dude. Like the comic book styling. It looks so fucking cool. I love it.
I don't know how it's going to translate like overall, like when you actually get in and start watching it, but
yeah.
I'm
Like
liking what
having
I've
to look
seen
at it
so
for 2
far.
hours, see if it become actually hurts your eyes or something like that. I don't know. I know what you're saying though. Or becomes annoying. It looked nice though. It looks clean like that. All right. So number 1, it's not Spider-Man, obviously. It's Ralph Breaks the Internet still. With a total of 207 million worldwide. I still want to see this movie. I haven't seen it yet.
It's trash.
Is it? I'm excited.
It's not good. It's really not good. Like they resolve the plot line halfway through and then just try and invent something to be like because reasons, and the characters in it aren't memorable, and they basically give Ralph the conflict that he had in the first movie all over again. I
Oh,
don't know
bro.
why.
Gal Gadot is in it. Gal Gadot. I don't know how the fuck you
Yeah,
say her name.
her character isn't terrible, but it's just
Who is
it's
she?
like she's the I can't fucking remember her character's name, but that's how much I fucking like this movie. Her name was like uh Shiv or Blade or Stab or something dumb like that.
Oh, bro, she's in. Well, obviously, she's in the next Wonder Woman, but there's another
Oh,
one.
and it's another fucking like the to come up with a new game for this one. You remember the first one? It was racing. It's racing again. Like they you reuse the same motifs. It's just it's very stale. It's very manufactured. The whole thing feels like product placement. The movie.
That's all I want. I want this like a baby or a poor man's Ready Player One.
None of the jokes are funny. Like I think there's like one and a half funny jokes. Like at most, like none of them land. They're just not funny. They say "but" a bunch of times. They don't understand how eBay works. So like they're trying to make a joke about eBay, but they don't understand how auctioning works, so they fucked it all up. Is one of those old slapstick like bidding, getting not paying attention that you've already outbid somebody and just continuing to bid until you pay like $8,000 for a bag of socks or something. Like it
Bro,
was so dumb.
a whole bag of
It was
socks.
really, really dumb. Yeah,
Sign
and
me
all
up.
the all the meme jokes, every single fucking one of them was already like 4 years old.
Yeah, dude.
Like they're all Facebook memes from
That's
like fucking 4
that's
years
the
ago.
cool thing
The
now,
first
though.
movie was perfect because they were playing with video game IPs that had been around for a while, would be around for a while, and they didn't stick with a specific version of that IP. It was like, hey, here is a Rampage character. Rampage has always had this character, will always have this character. Here is Scorpion. He's been in almost every Mortal Kombat game. It's not like the character's stale. Here's this other guy. Here's this. Here's some generic ones. Like here's Qbert, classic video game icon, easy to work with. But in this, they tried to fucking meme it out. It's garbage. It's not good. It was a cash grab. It was cheap. I wouldn't put it on the level of the Emoji Movie, but the only thing saving that was John C. Reilly's voice acting.
Right.
But even then, it was weak as fuck. Like I would wait to see it on like streaming or on demand or something where it's only like $4. I would not pay theater prices to see that piece of shit. You will be disappointed.
I'm gonna go see it this weekend. I'll relay back to you my I think this weekend. Maybe this weekend. We'll see. Number 2, we have Dr. Seuss's The Grinch. Pulled 17 million for the weekend, sitting at a total of $268 million on a budget of 75 million. Number 3, we have
That wasn't bad. It was just a kids movie. They just turned it into a kids thing. It wasn't like for the whole family like the original
we have Creed
or the Jim
2.
Carrey one.
sitting at 16 million, with a total of 92 million worldwide. Number 4, we have Fantastic Beasts: The Crimes of Grindelwald, sitting at 11 million for the weekend with a total of $521 million worldwide. And number 5, we have Bohemian Rhapsody pulling in 8 million for the weekend, sitting at a total of $540 million worldwide. That's the movies. Some other new movies that came out. We had The Possession of Hannah Grace, which I heard was trash, but I only heard. But I don't go to theaters to watch horror movies anymore. I think that's a dumb idea. Unless it's like something special. That doesn't count.
It was worth it.
Something called 2.0. Oh my god, I don't even know what this is. It looks bad. I have no idea what this is. Something called 2.0 that came out this weekend. Mirai. Oh my god, what is this? Mirai. Have you heard of this? G Kids? Well, that's the distributor.
No.
Wait a second. It's Weeby. I must check. Doesn't Mirai mean future?
Yes.
Oh my god, it's from the director of Summer Wars, bro. I gotta watch this.
Is it sci-fi?
A young boy named Kun feels forgotten by his family when his little sister Mirai arrives. Running away from home, Kun stumbles upon a magical garden that serves as a time-traveling gateway where he encounters his mother as a little girl and has a series of adventures with his baby sister, who is all grown up, opening a new perspective on his world. Mirai is the 10th highest-grossing Japanese film of 2018. Oh, shit, bro.
Is it animated or live action?
Oh, it's animated. Like an anime film. Bro, I'm going to too. Hell yeah.
We could probably check that out tonight after the podcast.
I'm down as I don't know if we'd be able to watch it like online. It just came out. I wonder how long it's been out in Japan. Is it still in
theaters in Japan?
I would assume so. We'll have to check. We'd have to check. But we'll check. That's cool though. It sounds interesting. And I love Summer Wars. That movie was fucking awesome. But besides that, that's the movies for this week. Nothing really standing out. Nothing too crazy. So we're going to move forward. We have a few games coming out this week, actually, that are quite exciting. We have Just Cause 4 coming to PS4, Xbox One, and PC December 4th. Monster Boy and the Cursed Kingdom coming to PS4, Xbox One, PC, and Switch December 4th. We have Persona 3 Dancing in the Moonlight coming to PS4, PS Vita. Persona 4 Dancing All Night coming to the PS4. And Persona 5 Dancing in Starlight coming to PS4 and PS Vita. This is all December 4th, by the way. And finally, the big boy of this.
More Persona games I have to buy and not be able to play it.
They're all rhythm games, so it's up to you.
Doesn't matter. It is Persona. I buy it.
We have the big boy of December coming on the 7th, this Friday. Super Smash Bros. Ultimate is coming out. There are a lot of people who are excited for that. Oh,
you know what? I did have a theory I wanted to tell you about earlier, and I forgot. I think one of the reasons they chose now to drop it was so that there would be more Smash Bros. Play on YouTube. Because that's their big selling point. They're planning on making a shit ton load of money on that this holiday. That's why they're releasing it around Christmas when they could have released it fucking 6 months ago.
I mean, it's possible. I haven't heard too many like horror stories in regards to the like IP shutdowns when it came to Smash. Like I follow a decent amount of like Smash YouTubers, and I never really saw any decline in the content that they put out.
Fuck with my theory, Kyle. Fine. Fuck with my theory.
I'm just saying, bro. It's a good game. I'm excited for it to come out. How about this? Everyone tuning in, if you are excited and you're getting Smash Bros. Ultimate, hit us up, either Discord, comments, let us know what's your main going to be, what your ult's going to be. I think my main, I really want to get back, because I was starting to and I never finished. I want to get back into learning Rosa and Luma. I think it's a really interesting character overall, and I like the stage control you get and having to manage with the placement of Luma. I think that's really cool. I also am a huge fan of Toon Link. I'm a big fan of projectile characters, especially when you could combo into actual moves with your projectiles. I always thought that was cool as shit. So I probably spent more time on Toon Link than I did on Rosa and Luma.
Split Sheik and Zelda, like they're two different characters now.
Yeah, and they play differently. They played differently before, but
you can't switch back and forth between them.
No, So Zelda's her own thing.
And did they do the same with Zero Suit and normal Samus?
I don't remember you ever being able to switch between the two, but yeah, they're their own
Yeah, you
separate
could.
characters. And what game did they do
Well, I
that?
mean, you could start. Well, no, you could start out of armor or in armor, and then when you got the thing, you would put your armor back on.
And which one did they do that? Was that the one on Wii?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, I didn't fucking play that one, so that's why I didn't have a Wii. Because fuck the Wii.
What I'd probably do is I'd probably main either Sheik or Zero Suit Samus, and then alt with Pit and like maybe Star Fox or Link, like Ocarina Link.
Sheik's
Those are my 4 favorites.
I haven't looked too much into the buffs and nerfs because I know that they are altering some of the characters before the game comes out. So I wonder if Sheik will still be like a high tier character as she was in 4. It's interesting to think. I think they already have tier lists out, to be honest, so I might be able to check, but I'll do that later. All right, so yes, definitely cool game. Excited. I don't know if I'll pick it up on launch. We'll have to see, especially now that I have to go spend $300 on a replacement phone. We'll see what happens. Maybe down the line I might pick it up, but I just, because I'm not going to spend money for the stupid online service either at this point. So maybe once there's a decent amount of people that have it that are looking to play, maybe I might, but I don't know. We'll see what happens. So before we move on to our main
they did bring I'm sorry, the board game thing is definitely a full adventure mode. Like it's going to have a story and everything.
Oh yeah, no, it's like this is
those rumors about it not having a story is bullshit.
I never heard any of those. I know from get-go, I had always assumed it would be like a Subspace Emissary Part 2. The only thing that I heard was the idea that the spirits, which are like the new gameplay mechanic, kind of made the game cheap or uninteresting. But besides that, I always thought it was like a story, because like the way they've shown it in trailers and stuff. So see everyone getting eviscerated except Kirby. So now Kirby has to go save everyone's ass.
I did not see that coming. I gotta say, like, I did not anticipate them choosing to make Kirby the first. Who was the first hero last time?
Oh shit.
Subspace Emissary? I don't fucking remember who it was.
Bro,
it was
why do I feel like it was Kirby? Wait a second.
It wasn't Kirby. Kirby didn't start it. It was someone else, and I don't think it was
Let's see. Plot.
I don't think it was
Plot. Wait.
Mario either.
Wait. Where's the plot? Plot summary of Subspace Emissary. Prologue begins with Taboo, the embodiment of subspace. Taboo resides within subspace. Blah blah blah. Returns to the Isle of Ancients. He captures Master Hand. Chapter 1. Let's see. Yeah, a fight between Mario and Kirby. Peach and Zelda are in attendance, and Pit watches from a magical fountain. One participant defeats the other. The loser reverts to his trophy form. The winner revives him in good sportsmanship. And they both wave at the crowd.
It was Mario and Kirby that started it.
Cannonballs fired that propels Mario out of the stadium far into the sky. In the chaos, Peach and Zelda are thrown into individual cages, which are held by Petey Piranha. Only Kirby is left to fight Petey. So you do start as Kirby. It's like the first character you control in the story.
I guess it's more of a tradition thing then. Well, Kirby's like one of the few
that can survive. This man can survive a nuke. Yeah. It's fucking Kirby.
Also, Kirby's 100% innocent.
Yeah, and he's an OP little piece of shit. Like, not game-wise.
Mario may be innocent enough, but he's still an adult. He's got a girlfriend. You know, Mario has had to fight villains that are truly evil before, and Kirby's just fought somewhat slightly selfish, misguided people who ended up being his friend anyway.
Right. He like eats innocence. What are you talking about? Like he'll eat just like creatures. He
spits them back out.
Not if he consumes their power. They're fucking gone, bro.
Yeah, that's true.
He turns them into raw energy, dude. And then when he discards their power, he like poops out a little star, and that star eviscerates into nothingness. It doesn't stay on the screen. It will go away. So he genocides the creatures that exist on planets and converts them into raw energy that he can reuse.
But he didn't kill DDD.
So That's after he genocided a whole planet of innocent creatures. Oh my gosh, Kirby's OP
That may
though,
be
bro.
true. Yeah, he
Kirby's
is
OP
OP.
though. Yeah. All right.
Ever since he started being like absorbing the abilities of his enemies.
uh. Okay, so we have a few articles real quick to talk about before we move forward. There have been rumors circulating about Rocksteady's next game. Rocksteady is the dev team that it worked on the Batman games, Arkham Knight, Arkham City, the Arkham games, the Arkham series of games.
Well, the three they didn't do Origins; they did all the other ones.
Okay, yeah. So there have been job listings that have been cropping up here and there. That happened earlier this year that revealed that the studio Rocksteady is working on another AAA game. What's one of the things is that the job listings noted that it was also mentioning for next generation platforms as well. So it's interesting, kind of gives you a bit of a time frame. But it's been mostly rumors and just looking things. They've also came out and said that they will not be announcing any new games at the award show or anything like that. And they've also come out and said that because people were speculating that it might be like another superhero game, obviously. So people were thinking Superman, like a Superman title. They've also denounced that. They're saying that there is no in development projects for Superman games, according to the studio. And the Rocksteady game director, Sefton Hill, tempered expectations on Twitter, stating, quote, "Look forward to the hashtag Game Awards this year. We're still hard at work in our development bunker. So don't expect an announcement for Rocksteady Games. When it's ready to show, you'll be the first to know. Spoiler, it's not Superman." So that was directly from Sefton on Twitter, or Mr. Hill. I don't fucking know. That's interesting. We are seeing another game come out of Rocksteady. Now, let's ask a question here. We don't know if it will be a superhero game, although that's all they've done for the most part. But if they were making a superhero game, Sean, what hero would you want to see Rocksteady attempt next?
I think it would be cool to see a Black Lightning game. I think that'd be fucking sweet.
Okay, that's out of the realm of my knowledge.
Lightning. No, not Black. I'm sorry, not Black Lightning. Static Shock. I'd like to see Static Shock.
I fucking loved that show when I was a kid. That's all I know about Static Shock.
Yeah, Static's a good character. And I mean, he's older now, so there's a lot more potential for them to do with the story. His character's gone through a lot of redesigns. I'd like to see him. If we're sticking with DC, I think it would be cool to see a Captain Marvel movie, although I think they just call him Shazam now. But he's kind of OP, and his games wouldn't be very much fun, just like Superman games wouldn't be, unless you're taking on gods, like Shazam's the only DC character that goes above Shazam is Soups. And the only reason why Shazam is able to hit Soups so fucking hard is because Soups' one weakness, attack wise, is magic. Like Soups is kind of like fake sci-fi, whereas Shazam, all his attacks are magic, and Soups isn't resistant to that. So it's like he's actually being hit by somebody who can actually fucking hit him. Like he feels that shit.
Yeah.
So maybe not Shazam. I think, you know who would be really badass, but it would have to be kind of a magical / horror kind of thing, would be I can't fucking remember his name. He's an astral entity. He's immortal and timeless. He lives inside of someone's body, and recently he was in a detective's body, and then a detective died, and he's in someone else's body now, and I keep thinking Phantasm, and that's not it.
No fucking clue.
I can't fucking remember his name right now, but he is almost he's the containment of God's power. In DC, there's two characters that reflect God. One is like the opposite of God's power, and one is, and this guy essentially just kills at will. and changes reality at will as he sees fit. But I think it'd be cool. There's been a few times when his powers have been stripped and he's had to fight to like save reality and shit. I'm completely useless right now. Raven. I'd like to see a Raven game there.
Okay, like from
I love Raven.
Teen Titans Raven.
Yeah, Team Titans.
Oh,
Yeah,
I can go
there
for
was
that.
a character called Voodoo and Wildcats that I liked a lot. I'd like to see her get a game. I think Spawn deserves a good game. I think they would be perfect to do a Spawn game,
Oh, that would
but
be
they
pretty
need to
cool.
stick to the comic books
Or
and like do like the first couple arcs.
like a Punisher game would be pretty cool too. I think that kind of comes close in line with. I mean, the stories are different, but like Batman, kind of like a beat 'em up style. I think a Punisher game would be pretty dope.
Punisher would be a shooter with some melee attacks, but that'd be largely a shooter. But if they did Punisher, I would get the Gears of War guys to do that.
Hmm. I don't know though. I'm not too big.
They
I'm
were
like
they
into
did
superheroes,
brutal
so
combat really good. Yeah, I know, but just how the combat played in Gears of War, how gritty and personal it was, like I think that's the way that uh that should be.
for Punisher, you're saying?
Yeah, I
Oh,
think
okay.
it should be really like visceral and gritty, and you should feel the fact that Frank is choosing to murder people. Like he has accepted the fact that he is doing this evil. Like you need to feel what you're doing. They did release a Punisher game where he did torture and do bad stuff to people, and like parents went fucking batshit. Like the SJWs came out of the woodwork and said the game was too violent and there was too much wrong with it. It wasn't a great game by any means, but it did show you what the Punisher is capable of and what he does. So I think I do agree with you. I think the Punisher deserves a good game. I'd like to see a good Wolverine game, a good Gambit game. I like to see some characters that don't get a lot of love show up. You know, like maybe some second stringers, like Domino. I'd like to see a Domino game. I'd like to see. It'd be cool if they made a game with Longshot and Dazzler on Mojo World or something like that. Just kind of came out of left field with
Just
something like people
throwing,
haven't thought of forever.
just throwing
Well, the thing
pronouns
is
I have no fucking
yeah,
clue about.
Dazzler was like one of the most annoying X-Men in history. She was basically an answer to the disco era. And then Longshot's mutant ability is that he's fucking lucky. That's it. He has no control over it. It just happens that way. Like he would carry a grappling hook and just jump off a building and throw it, and it would catch on something, and he would land wherever he was hoping to land.
Interesting.
Usually, yeah, that was his ability. So he would just do crazy shit. So it'd be fun, kind of, if they could work out a traversal mechanic where you like it thrives off of you doing unconventional shit. But I don't really know how that would work. The last good Hulk game was that one where you smash everything on like PlayStation and GameCube and shit like that. So it'd be cool to see a new Hulk game come back. I've never seen a good Thor game. I'm really not interested in seeing the Avengers except for Hulk in a video game. I think Hulk could still be fun, especially if they kind of did his own storyline since he's not going to get a movie. Like, that'd be kind of cool, especially if the game was an official tie-in to the cinematic universe. You could do that.
Yeah.
But I kind of like the going in the direction of comic books as well. Was it Deathlock? Would be awesome. Deathlock was a cop, and he's basically RoboCop. He got killed in the line of duty, but they brought him back from the edge of death as a cyborg. So he's like RoboCop.
So many fucking superheroes.
Yeah, Deathlock is cool as shit. Was it Dark?
Okay. Pick one and let's move on here, mister.
All right. If I was going to pick one hero that I would like to see in a video game, I would pick Constantine.
Okay.
And the game would not be, it would have combat, but it would be more of a detective.
Like Call of Cthulhu.
Yeah, but not so slow. And Constantine borrows a lot from Cthulhu stuff, but it borrows a lot from all realms of horror and the occult. So I think it would be something where you could write a linear story that takes you through get some really good writers, write a really good deep story, give yourself at least 8 or 10 hours of gameplay. minimum, and have a, with the ability to add on adventures, and like do a DLC where you get another 4 hours of adventure. That's worth 15-20 bucks. And I think that would be fucking ideal. Give yourself some of the investigation stuff that they've tried to do in some of the Batman games and in some of the, like in Spider-Man and shit like that, but make it deeper and give it an occult bent. I think that'd be really fun. And then your combat all of your weapons and things like that would be these different trinkets and talismans and things like that that would allow you to fight. Because Constantine's not a warrior. I mean, when he has to fight, he brawls. It's like punches and kicks and shit, and he uses guns. So I think that'd be an easy enough combat system to work in. It's just balancing out your relics and stuff like that, using relics. I think that'd be really fun.
Yeah.
And Rockstar could handle that, and it wouldn't even need
Rocksteady.
the kind of combat system. Yeah, Rocksteady. Sorry, that you wouldn't even need the kind of combat that they used in Batman. That's been borrowed for Spider-Man. I mean, they could do their own thing. I think it'd be really fun. So I'm going with Constantine.
Okay, I'll take that. All right. One more article to go through real quick. As you all may know, Red Dead Online came out. It's in beta though, so it's technically not out. They slapped the patented "oh shit, our games, our online thing's not fucking done yet." So God forbid, no problems are problems, but we will fix it. So one thing that's kind of fucked up is the economy in this game is awful in its current state. It's pretty shitty. Now, one thing with the economy is it feels, now I don't know how intended, they've done other games like this before. If you looked at GTA Online's launch, it was also a shitty economy for a little bit until they said, oh, sorry, we'll fix that. We're seeing it again, even though they had 6 or 7 years with GTA 5. So I don't know how you can make another fucked economy unless you're trying to do something scummy. But there's a singular
Rockstar has been known to do.
There's a primary you have a primary currency, which is your money, and a secondary currency, which is purchasable. It's not currently, but it will be, and that is gold bars. So that will be the secondary currency that you can use to purchase horses and things of the sort. That will be buyable, like with real money. So
right now, you can find them in certain missions and shit.
No, yeah,
like
you
that,
get them, but
telling people who are playing right now to hoard them up, because this is the only chance you're going to get to be able to get ahead of players. Because as soon as people are able to pay to win, being competitive is done.
And another interesting thing though with it though is they're not too sure with it being in a beta status. There's a possibility that they might wipe the servers when it gets out of beta status, so you'd lose all your progress. So they're not entirely sure if they're going to keep or wipe everyone's progress yet. So that's one. I played it for a bit, just to kind of look at it and see what it's about, but I didn't really go too far into it, mostly because of the fact that you lose all your progress. Like, I mean, there's a possibility that you could lose all your progress. It's nothing set in stone, but what's the point of spending 40 hours to play a game when there's a possibility that you'd lose all of it? So, as we were saying, the economy currently is less than optimal in its current state, with things finding out that cans of baked beans are more valuable than golden rings based on the economy. Rockstar has acknowledged these problems and has said on Twitter, quote, "Thanks to everyone who's participated in the beta so far. We appreciate your help in testing the game. Your feedback from these early days will be instrumental in helping formulate updates to every aspect of the experience. Our current areas of focus include the in-game economy, which will require some additional balancing in order to ensure all activities are appropriately rewarding and fun, as well as some persistent bugs that are getting people kicked from sessions, things of the sort. If you're playing the game, you want to give some feedback, feel free to go to reddeadonline.com/feedback. You could drop them, let them know, hey, your economy's fucked. There's a bug here that makes my horse's testicles grow abnormally large, or something along those lines. Let them know. But yeah, like it was along the lines where a coat, like a jacket, Shawn, is hundreds of dollars. And from doing a story mission, you get anywhere from $3 to $6. and the story missions can go from 10 to 20 minutes. So it'd take like hours upon hours upon hours just to get a full set of clothing. It's like that's how fucked the economy is. So I don't know.
The normal Rockstar experience to me.
Yeah, so it's quite a grind. And now I'm not against a grind. I think a grind is an okay thing, but when a grind is into the realms of absurdity and microtransactions exist, they feel a little predatory at that point. And the same thing happened with Battlefront 2. Now, the difference here is it's Rockstar, so they will most likely fix this in the next few updates, unlike DICE and EA, which completely built the game around that progression system. So I have hopes that they'll fix the game. I've heard that it's okay. I mean, the things that make the single player special, the interaction with the world and stuff, don't really exist because it's a multiplayer experience. So it might be fun to kill a few hours with your friends doing a mission or two, but for the most part, the thing that
I
made
heard that it's fucking boring.
Yeah, I mean, I mean, it depends who I guess you're listening to. I haven't played enough of it to really formulate an opinion. I'm just going off of what I've heard. But one of the main consensus is the idea that the economy is kind of bullshit currently. But definitely let them know if you're having any issues with the game. They are actively updating it. So, as I was saying, in the future they'll be adding the ability to purchase in-game currency, which is gold with real money. The gold. Oh my god, I lost where I was in my notes. The gold can be also earned by playing, used to buy certain weapons and other items, as well as a shortcut to lower your honor level. I did not know that you can buy weapons with gold. That feels hella pay to win. We'll see how they tweak it, see what it ends up being. Hopefully it's not too crazy. The good thing is a lot of the weapons in the game do headshot, like it's like a one-shot headshot. So you can go around with the lowest level weapon, and if you're good enough, you can still kind of amount for that. But if you calculate like rate of fire, accuracy, and things of the sort, you can easily be outgunned in fights if someone decided to drop $100 on the game to get like high tier weapons or something like that. So,
or if they get one of those guns that doesn't kick a lot, they're going to be more accurate. Although I heard that you really can't play the game without auto aim. So
yeah, no, it's pretty nasty.
I normally hate using auto aim and automatically turn it off, but you can't do that in a Rockstar game. I just never bothered making a game that controls well.
I tried it, and I probably got about an hour in, and then after a few of my first gunfights, I'm like, I don't feel like... I mean, it's nice because it feels more realistic, but I don't think it's worth the frustration of limiting myself in that manner. And all it comes down to is you sitting behind cover anyway, so you're not getting holes blown in you. So at that point, why take the time to try and aim? There's like the other elements of the game are not realistic, like to the point where you have 30 people sitting behind cover shooting at one gentleman sitting behind his cover instead of like rushing or doing anything that a smart AI would do. It's just... So I feel like the auto aim doesn't really detract much, because I feel like the thing that makes this game realistic is the world and the immersion in the way you interact with it. But when it comes down to the gunplay and the other elements of the game, I think it's pretty arcadey in that manner, and that's usually how they are. Like GTA is the same way. That GTA is not realistic in any way, shape, or form. And although Red Dead's more realistic than GTA is, a lot of it is being in that world, and that's where the immersion comes into play. And then Red Dead took that and upped it by 1. So that's that. They do have a Battle Royale mode on the way. We've been hearing
It's already there.
Oh, is it already there? Shit.
Yeah, you get a small environment, and then you can pick throwing knives or fucking I don't know, like a bow or something.
It's Battle Royale.
And
there you go. So take with it what you will. It's a cool addition to the game, but I mean, a lot of what makes the single player so special is that interaction, and it's not really present in the multiplayer experience. That's that for the news for this week. We're going to move on into our main topic, talk about that a bit before we call it a night. If you guys have anything you want to let us know, your opinions on the articles that we discussed, or if you're excited for Smash, things along those lines, again, feel free to let us know. So, Shawn, we'll start with you. What's a game that, or not a game, we're talking about movies this week. What's a movie that you remember fondly as a kid that you've kind of had a new light shined upon it as you aged?
Well, going with a negative first, I would start with Total Recall.
The original with
When I was a kid, yeah, the
Schwarzenegger?
original with Arnie Schwarzenegger, yeah. When I was a kid, that movie was like the bomb diggity. Like we just fucking would watch the shit out of it. It was super fun. There was no problems with it. There was a girl with 3 tits in it. I mean, it was awesome. Special effects were awesome. Plot was awesome. I could not get enough of that movie. I must have watched it like a half dozen times. And then when Blu-rays really picked up, like 5 years ago or 6 years ago or something like that, I went out and I had an option between, because I was trying to get some older movies because I already had a bunch of new ones. And so I was choosing between RoboCop and Total Recall, and I should have gone with RoboCop because that movie, except for the weird bendy arm bit at the end and the stop motion bit in the stairs, for the most part, the special effects hold up. The story still holds up. Verhoeven was really good at doing those topical social and political commentaries, especially the social commentaries. And so, but I bought Total Recall because I was like, you can't go wrong with Arnie, which is the biggest lie anyone has ever said. Because if you really think about it, most of his movies are trash. And this is coming from a Schwarzenegger fan. I could have bought Conan and been happy. Could have bought Kindergarten Cop, been happy. Could have bought Twins and been mostly happy, even though that movie doesn't really hold up as well anymore
Real
either.
question.
But yeah.
Is it wrong to think that Arnold Schwarzenegger is not really a good actor?
Oh no, he's terrible.
I think that he only fits into like one role, and if he ever tries to escape that, like, typical
No. He can do certain roles, but it's just he gets by on charisma alone.
I don't think he's that good.
Conan,
I think his
he
movies are
didn't
great.
have to act for that. In Conan, he had to be somewhat emotionless, somewhat confused. He had Conan okay. If you read the books, Conan by far is not stupid. But Conan also is in a world where, like, the Conan world has some misogyny in it. It's a very barbaric world, so there's a lot of intentional misogyny, and then they'll bounce back from that by showing you how the women in Conan's world deal with that. And there are Amazon tribes that specifically formed to step the fuck away from the patriarchy that exists in that medieval world. But it is a medieval world. Medieval worlds were patriarchal. There's a huge section of Samaria that is actually run by women because they didn't want to be a part of that. And in that area, it's quite the reverse. But the point is there's a lot of barbarism there. So when the guy wrote it, he put every kind of barbarism he could think into it. So there's rape and violence and murder and demons and all kinds of shit. And they didn't really put that into the movie. Like, Conan the movie is not Conan the book, but it does bring enough from that to be somewhat authentic. And Arnold did a good job playing a barbarian who just does not fit in modern society and who is running around avenging his family's murder because his tribe was slaughtered by Tulsa Doom, who is basically a stand-in for Set, which is who Conan fought the majority of his comic adventures. So he did good in Conan. He did good in Kindergarten Cop. He did good in Twins. He did good in Predator and Terminator and Terminator 2. He's had roles where he did well, like really, really well, was really enjoyable and acted well, or at least acted decent enough that the movie was fun. But Total Recall is, when you watch it, it feels like you're watching a fucking Saturday night, midnight matinee B movie with a little bit of a budget. It's just, the whole movie to me did not age well. The story is a bit better than the story that exists in the new one, the remake, the reimagining, I should say. The story's better overall, but what you see on screen is not. Like the way the plot progresses, Arnold's acting, everyone else's acting, everyone's reactions, it just feels stupid. And the sets feel cheap. It feels like it was all shot on a backlot somewhere, and and they just borrowed it from a better science fiction movie. But it comes across like something between a Saturday night matinee and old Star Trek on terms of level of quality. It's just, I don't know why I don't like it so much anymore, but now when I watch it, it is strictly from like a nostalgia slash MST3K thing. Like, I'm either watching it and in through a kid's glasses and going, "Hey, this was fun once," or I'm watching it and I'm making fun of it the whole time, like Mystery Science Theater 3000. Like, to me, it's so corny now. It did not age well, and it's just not a great movie. Now, you're gonna have sci-fi fans the world over get ready to hurl stones at me, but before you fucking do that, go back, sit down, watch it as an adult, and tell me you still like the fucking thing. The only thing that stuck out to me as really good about it was a small handful of the effects still stand up, and the music I thought was really good, but the rest of it was just cheese, absolute cheese.
Damn.
So that's one down. So you pick one that you see negative now that you liked when you were a kid.
Bruh, I'm gonna be real with you, Chief. I'm not as big of a movie buff as you are, Shawn, as many of you can probably tell that are tuning in. But I think a lot of what I enjoyed as a kid, I had times where I watch more movies now, and a lot of the time it's because of you or the things that we do here on the show. But a lot of when I like movies I watched as a kid ended up being like typical things you watched as a kid, and as we moved to a teen, I guess I thought of something. One thing that now it hasn't. I appreciate them for what they are, but I think in some regards they're weaker now that I'm older. Would be the Monty Python movies. Now, again, don't get me wrong.
You're older.
Yeah, don't get me wrong. I think it. No, I think it might be the way that, and it's weird. I think it might be the way that I perceive the humor now, or maybe it might be just the fact that I've seen it a second time, or I've seen it another time, and then it just doesn't deliver as strongly because I know it's coming, kind of thing. I guess but when I first watched like Meaning of Life, is that what's called, The Meaning of Life, right? Started with the baby
Meaning
being
of Life
born.
was the one that was a bunch of small vignettes put together.
Yeah, but it
starts off with the battleship between the two office buildings.
Okay, and then there's eventually a part where there's a part where the
death and the salmon.
Yeah, the thing where they banned condoms, right? It's like the Catholics banned condoms.
Every sperm is sacred.
Yeah, something along those. But I remember really enjoying that when I was in early high school. We actually watched that in my JROTC class. We had like a sub, and they had it on the TV, and we were all kind of chilling. Me, Jonathan, and a few other of my friends, we were all kind of chilling in front of the TV watching that in our class because we weren't doing anything else for the day. We were done with drills and shit like that. And it was something like I really enjoyed. I enjoyed it a lot. And then I recently went back to watch it again to show it to Caitlyn, and I don't know how it ranks in regards to the other films that he's done, but it was still an enjoyable film. It was still an enjoyable film, and I liked it. It's just it wasn't as just like, it didn't feel as groundbreaking, I guess. I don't know. I think it might be more the fact that it's a second time going through it than the first time imagining it. Imagine the first time, if you're like the biggest fan you are of something, imagine being able to wipe your mind and re-experience that for the first time, kind of thing. I think that might be what it is, where it's just not a fresh thing anymore. It's something I'm already aware of, and maybe that's why it affects it. And I think that happens a lot when you are to rewatch comedy. For me, it happens a lot. It can't be said the same for everybody,
No,
obviously.
I could get that. There's a lot of movies, like a lot of Jim Carrey's movies that I watched when I was a kid, or Chris Farley's movies. Although Chris Farley's movies actually hold up a little bit better. But a lot of Jim Carrey movies I watched when I was a kid that I fucking adored, or just slapstick ones like Dumb and Dumber.
Hmm.
Like it's still fun to watch, but I don't laugh like I did when I first saw it, or Ace Ventura: Pet Detective, or any of those, or like just those really dumb humor movies. I don't really dig that stuff anymore. So when I watch those movies, I enjoy them a little bit, but I don't. It's not something where like I even feel the need to watch them once a year. Like you might see me watching Black Sheep or Dumb and Dumber or Ace Ventura: Pet Detective or Beverly Hills Ninja like once every 5 years, just for that nostalgia kick. But I don't really think they're good movies. Like Tommy Boy was good. That one holds up. But a lot of those stupid humor movies just they don't jive with me anymore, so I don't really like them. But I remember I used to go out of my way to see those things in theaters all the time. Like I thought they were fucking fantastic. And now I really couldn't be bothered to like when they come out with like any of the like the High School Movie and High School Movie 2 and whatever, all those like spoofs, like those things are just fucking stupid to me.
Yeah.
But I used to really dig that kind of shit.
I thought of another one,
I mean,
and
yeah.
no one's allowed to just hear me out. Okay, hear me out. I used to really like. Now I was much younger. I used to be a big fan of Adam Sandler movies, and not like the good
I love
ones.
Adam Sandler.
Not like the first two. I like Waterboy and the stuff like that. Or what's the other one? The golf one. Happy Madison.
Happy Gilmore.
Happy Gilmore. Happy Madison's the company. But
Billy Madison was the combination of his two first movies. Billy Madison and then Happy Gilmore.
okay. But like Click, and there was
That's a
another.
good one.
I don't like Click anymore. I remember enjoying it initially, but I rewatched it recently as because my sister had put it up. It was on something, maybe Amazon Prime, and we rewatched it again. And I'm like, man, I mean, I like the last like little bit of the film where there's like the like touching moment kind of thing, but the rest of the movie is just so dumb that it really turns me off. And I feel like that although they get progressively worse continuing down the line, and even to the point where there are some people even thinking that Adam Sandler is kind of like a con man doing like these things for like expensive business vacation kind of things. There was a YouTube video I watched that was talking about that. I don't remember the name of the group, but they were talking about like how Adam Sandler's just using it as a front to like go on super expensive. I don't know, something along those lines. They laid it out in the video, and I didn't actually finish it, so I can't fully describe what they were talking about. But if I find it, I will link it in the description. So if you see a YouTube video in the description, you know I found it. But I like Click. I remember liking a lot when I was younger, and I'm not the biggest fan of it. To the point where I wouldn't really even watch it, even if it is nostalgic, just because I don't enjoy it that much anymore. So
It's kind of like what I was talking about. Like it was really you, and now for some reason it just isn't.
yeah, and I think as you were saying, as you age, even though I wouldn't call us mature, to be honest,
Yeah.
with the way that we are, I'm still more mature now than I was when I was like in high school, early high school.
I think your needs change. You know, your emotional needs change, your humor needs change, and things get stale, and you need something deeper. Like I don't think that for a moment that like people say when you get older you grow and you don't and what you loved as a child you don't love as an adult, and I don't really think that is exactly accurate. Like I'm no longer in my 20s, you know. I still love all the same things. I love partying, I love getting drunk, I love going out and doing wild and crazy shit. None of that has changed. I still love all of that. I still want to do all the stuff you do in your early 20s, in your late 20s. I still love to do the stuff I did in high school. The difference is I love to do so much more now. And I don't want to do just that. I want to do I want my experiences to be broader instead of narrowed in those simple areas. I want to hit cool museums. I want to see some really badass buildings and see how the architecture was put together. Fuck, dude, when I went out Saturday night and in Wingman for my buddy, we went to one of those outdoor malls,
Uh-huh.
and the whole thing was done Art Deco. And I
That's
walked
cool.
around for like a fucking hour and just looked at all the little details they put into the structures of the buildings, the little designs they did, and they're finishing up this hotel that's in the middle of it. And the whole thing, it uses a lot of false fronts and tilted walls that aren't actually tilting on the inside. That just a bunch of like false and visual tricks and stuff like that that goes along with the whole Art Deco thing. And I fucking loved it. I wouldn't have given a shit about that, in high school. I would have noticed it, thought it was awesome, and then focused on whatever was in front of me. Like I just want more. It's not that I don't like those old things, because I still love them. I still love going out and getting drunk and doing stupid shit with friends and nearly getting arrested or whatever. None of that hasn't changed. And I think as much as a lot of people like to pretend it does, it doesn't. I think they still love those things. It's just they want something that occupies them on a deeper level now. Intellectually speaking and emotionally speaking, you broaden as you get older, and you have a deeper pool of needs spread across a wider area. And those shallower, more focused events that you did when you were younger, or that you enjoyed when you were younger, have now, that's not enough to fill the pool, so to speak. And I think that's one of the things that when you grow out of stuff, but you still enjoy watching it, it's not that it's not so much you anymore. It's just there's so much more of you. I don't know if
That
that
was
makes a lot of
deep.
sense.
That was deep. Put that on a
Yeah,
t-shirt, coach. Sell it for tree fitty.
yeah.
Yeah, dude.
Now, some that have held, like, I mean, we have covered some of the ones that haven't held up, like the old Leslie Nielsen movies, the Naked Gun movies, and the Mel Brooks films. Half of them I still love, half I can't stand. I still love most of them, but there are some ones that I'm not really interested. I still love The Producers. I still love Young Frankenstein. I still love I can't remember the name of it right now, but was it Blazing Saddles? And I still love Spaceballs. I still love History of the World. So for the most part, Mel Brooks is still on point with me. But the Naked Gun stuff, the Dracula Dead and Loving It, that was a Mel Brooks one with Leslie Nielsen at the helm. Those didn't really kick off. Like, I used to love those, and I can't fucking stand them now. But things like E.T., I still love, like just as much as the day I saw it. A Nightmare Before Christmas, Ghostbusters, those still hold up for me. But when I go back and watch, those are still just as classic as the first time I saw them. And it's not nostalgia. Those movies, not nostalgia. I still legitimately love them for what they are. And I think there needs to be a line drawn where nostalgia is loving something because you loved it before, because it takes you back to that place. That is not why I love those movies. That may be a part of it, but those films that I loved from so long ago, I love them because I love what they are, because they're just good movies, and I find them thoroughly entertaining, and I am just as entertained no matter how many times I watch them. So I don't think that can be chalked up just to nostalgia. I think nostalgia is a cheap term. But they're like I really liked those. I think the first Home Alone still holds up, and I thought that was a lot of fun. I barely remember the second one. Terminator 2 still holds up. The first Terminator still holds up.
I'm thinking.
To me, I don't really look at those any differently. I will say this much: when I was younger, the first Terminator was a horror movie to me. It still feels like a horror movie that uses science fiction elements, but it still feels like a slasher film to me, like a stalker murderer, more than a machine come from the future. It just feels like a cold-blooded psychopath. And I think that's the way it was played. It was meant to feel like a horror film. But I think that those two movies are still just as valid for me. I'm
I
trying to
know
think
one.
of a movie I used to love that I.
The OG Jumanji. I watched that not too long ago, maybe 2 years ago, and I still really enjoyed that film. I like that movie a lot. What do you remember? I think it was on Disney Channel. But there was a bootleg like Jumanji film. It wasn't Jumanji in the setting, but it was a board game that these kids played, and and it
You're
would
not
have.
talking about Zathra, are you?
I'm not too sure. Was it in space, and their house was
Yeah,
eventually in space, and they got
that's
boarded by
Zathra.
aliens?
It's actually himself. That whole thing.
Yeah, that reminded me of that for some
Him
reason. I
trying
don't
to
know.
teach him. The astronaut that he comes in and teams up with, the one that's played by that dude I like so much, is himself from the future.
Yeah. I remember.
Yeah,
I haven't
yeah,
seen
that's
that movie.
Zathra. When they made Jumanji, they had this idea that they would do a 4 movies, not sequels and not spin-offs, but it would just be a set of 4 movies, and it would be the board game series or the board game sequence,
Hmm.
and each one was going to be based off of a different thing. You'd have a jungle one, science fiction one, a horror one, and then I believe the fourth one was going to be like, I don't know, like Western or fucking something. I don't
Bro, dude, a
remember.
horror one would be
Um,
so cool. You know what I've always thought would be an
yeah,
interesting idea for a film, kind of along the premise of Jumanji, but take it. I guess they kind of did this with, although it was not as much of a focus, but with Stranger Things. But the idea of taking like a D&D sesh and have that turn into like a real thing along the lines of Jumanji.
they've tried it a few times, but it's always been B movies and low budget shit, and it just never worked
It'd be
out
cool to
well.
see a
I've
AAA.
read 2 novels where that happened. Like one was by Andre Norton, and it was called Quag Keep, and it was actually part of a series of 4 books where players got transported in Dungeons and Dragons. But it wasn't. She didn't get the license for. I don't think she gave a shit about getting the license for Dungeons and Dragons. So it was just. It was a generic pen and paper RPG,
RPG, yeah.
but they got sucked in and were forced into being roles. I read 2 or 3 other books where that would happen. And there's actually one game that I downloaded on Wii, which is actually pretty good. It's a side-scrolling roguelike, kind of like Rogue Legacy.
Okay.
Only, uh, well, I don't think it. No, let me rephrase. I don't think it's a roguelike, but it's a dungeon crawler. And you play a guy who was playing D&D, got up to go to the bathroom, and then the lights went out in the bathroom, and when they came on, there was like an evil sorcerer threatening him, and he keeps trying to tell everyone in the world that he's from a world where that shit doesn't exist, but nobody believes him. And so the whole thing's played for comedy, and he has to go around being this like holy paladin, even though he doesn't give a shit. He just wants to go home.
Yeah, I got you.
Uh, it's kind of funny, but I played it a little bit, and I haven't turned on the Wii U in like a year, which I need to
Oof.
do that because that's a better system than what they made afterwards. And fuck you, Nintendo. Um,
Feels bad.
yeah, I will say that Disney movies don't hold up for me anymore. Like a lot of people are lifelong Disney fans. I'm not one of those people. I can't. I can still watch them and enjoy them, especially like some of the Renaissance movies, like Aladdin and Lion King, are still pretty decent. But
I
there's
never liked
always.
Lion King, to be fair with you.
Okay.
I was not a fan of it at all, and I think I might like it today. I don't know. I
They always feel really shallow. Like the plot moves too fast. Not enough happens. They don't feel like complete stories to
some
me. They feel like hyper condensed stories. Little Mermaid was pretty decent.
I liked Hercules a lot. I liked Aladdin a lot. Um,
I see over the
Tarzan.
Hunchback being good.
Oh, praise the Lord, Tarzan, dude. I like the ones that had really good music and with like the who was it that did the soundtrack? It was Phil Collins, right? Did the soundtrack for
Phil
Tarzan?
Collins did that.
Yeah,
Yeah, really good that
bro.
song.
I fucking loved everything about Tarzan when I was a kid. Like I just watched that shit again and again. Now I'm gonna watch that movie again. It was funny when we went to Disney last year sometime. They had like this big thing that they did where they played a bunch of songs from older Disney movies, and I was like a fucking kid again, bro, thinking about all those films. Um,
There's a whole Spotify channel just for Disney soundtracks.
Oh, that's pretty cool. I was also looking. Speaking of Spotify, going on tangents, I was looking for like if they had like a compilation of all the Final Fantasy 14 music, and they have a few of them. But there's some that are so like there's some
Yeah,
dungeon
there's some good
songs
soundtracks.
that are
Great soundtracks.
fucking phenomenal. I know they were talking about releasing like a fan favorite thing that has like they're like a bunch of a bunch of fan picked songs from the entire soundtrack. And they made a disc out of it. I'd have to look at the track list and see if that sounds interesting. But like, there's one dungeon called like the Fractal Continuum that has a fucking banging soundtrack. It's really good. I think it's called Triumph, but just the music for the bosses in Stormblood, like when you get to the end of any dungeon, it plays the song. That song's fucking phenomenal, man. But like, when has Final Fantasy music not been amazing? Kind of get me. It's always really good. But
You're really staying on topic here.
yeah, I know, right? Gotta love these movies. I mean, again.
I'm trying to think of ones where like I changed my view, like my views have changed. There's one I love 80s, well, not the 80s. I love rom-coms. Like, only my close friends know this about me. But I've always loved romantic comedies, but only the ones that are genuinely funny and have like just like they are 100% escapism for me. Relationships are difficult for everyone, and ever since I was a kid, like I was like since before kindergarten, I've always, and it might just be the visual culture that I was raised on because rom-coms have always been huge. But I always wanted to be in the relationship with that movie chick. Like, that was like my thing when I was little. I was like, I want to be with this girl or that girl. And I know this sounds kind of crazy because normally you hear the girls saying, "Oh, I've always dreamed of a fucking white wedding and this, that, the other." I never really gave a shit about that. I just dreamed of those little magic moments that is the beginning of a relationship. Like, I saw these in movies, and I'm like, movies to me have always been fictional, but they are representative of these tiny slices of reality. Like, they are, like, when you watch a rom-com, you are watching all of the good parts of an actual relationship with some fictitious events. Obviously, you're not going to accidentally summon a dinosaur to the future or fall into the penguin tank or, romantically interest a tiger or whatever fucking weird shit they do in some of these movies.
You like
But
walk up to her, give her flowers for your anniversary, accidentally trip over like a greased up garlic roll. You fall in that process, your zipper snags on the door frame and it pulls your zipper down. As you're falling, as you're falling, you're just a little bit hard because I don't know, it's been a rough day. So your cat sees your wiener sticking out partially and it goes to smack it, and that makes you fully erect.
Obviously, things that complicated do not happen.
And then as you're fully erect, you're continuing to fall. You go to grab something, but that thing happens to be your girlfriend of 2 months' panties, and you pull them completely off of her body by accident, just ripping them completely off her body by accident.
I didn't see that going etchy.
And then in the process to not break any of your arms as you're tumbling down, you roll, and in the end of your somersault, your dick just happens to slide into her vagina. So, just typical things that might happen during a lovely dinner night.
In a rom-com, they take the volume level on things and jack it up a few notches, but the essence of what you see happening on screen, on at least one that's a little bit more grounded, like we're not talking like your typical Adam Sandler one, although like the rom-com elements in Big Daddy, which wasn't a rom-com, but that was just a good movie, or the ones in Wedding Singer was a bit more grounded. Obviously they take it to fantasy levels, like, oh, Billy Idol's on the plane or whatever, but you do have these small moments in relationships, and I think everybody can look back on relationships they've had and see these little magical movie moments that happen, and these times when you laughed really hard and just the most insanely goofy things happened, or there were these magical moments where your heart almost exploded and you were looking into her eyes or his eyes or whatever, and just the right words were said. Like, all a rom-com does is roll all of that up into a nice, neat package and add some sparkles on it and a little bit of glitter and some polish and make things just a little too perfect and a little too wacky. And it is 100% fiction, and you shouldn't use it as a pattern for relationships. But I recognized from an early age that there were bits and pieces of it that were drawn from truth. were drawn from moments that can happen. And I always loved how movies told stories, and I wanted my story to be special or something. I don't know, but I was always into relationships and into dating and into girls from an early age. So rom-coms were really big to me, and a very strange thing to say on a geek related podcast. So I loved watching. I don't know why. I don't even remember where I was going with this because I got sidetracked by your fucking etchy thing.
Your view changing as you grew, like your view on the movie itself. So I guess what you
What
looked
movie was
for
it?
in the film, no, just in general, like earlier when you were younger, you looked for that relationship with the lady. But I guess
Oh
now,
yeah,
as you've grown,
like
that scope has changed slightly.
well now, like before when I'd watch it, I would watch it and all it would do, I would fan it. You know, I'd have these goofy little fantasies, and it was always about the geek who gets the girl because I was not popular when I was younger. Like that didn't kick in until like between 10th and 11th grade. I went from the bottom of the stack to the top of the stack, and that was largely because I stopped giving a fuck. I stopped giving a fuck, and when I stopped giving a fuck, I walked into the drama room and said, "This is what I'm going to do." And I mean, to a class of strangers, and immediately became a character. And that was also when I learned how to deal with my clinical depressiveness and some other things. And so that was like a turning point for me. But before that, these movies gave me the fantasy of, hey, here's the kid that nobody likes because he's different. You know, he looks different. He's chink-eyed. You know, he's smarter than everybody else, and does not, you know, is just not really a big fan of being shameful about stuff. And I did not. I don't know. I didn't function like everyone else did, so I was always an outsider. I don't even understand completely why, because I'm not that fucking weird. But yeah, I don't
The
know.
way you
But I
said
just
that.
was. And so there were all these movies usually presented a main character who was an outsider, who wasn't popular, who would like this, you know, girl who's, you know, quote, out of his league, end quote. And then by the end of the movie, he's got the girl and everybody likes him and the whole world is happy. And when you're in school, you get crushes on people. And, you know, I had crushes, and normally they were popular girls, or always for some reason, not intentional. And So these movies presented this world of possibility to me. Like I wasn't always going to be a loser, and one of these days, like people would like me, and I would have friends, and I wouldn't be on my own all the time, and this, that, the other. And now, when I watch them, I still like it's. I don't watch them to feel like the world can be different. Like that's not really, like I don't see them with the same eyes. I still watch them with a little bit of that romantic hopefulness because I do like seeing, because I have it since I do believe in those happy little magic slices that happen, that they, you know, glue tons of them together into these movies to make it seem more realistic. I still believe in those, and I still believe that that's a thing, and I know that's a thing. But it is nice sometimes when you're, for lack of better terminology, lonely, to be able to watch the artificialness of it, or be able to see that slice kind of again, just a reminder. Because for me now, it's just a reminder that it's still out there. It's not. I'm not watching it trying to live vicariously through fictional characters like I did when I was a little kid. Instead, now it's just a reminder to me that I need to still keep trying to get out there and meet people, and not hide away in a fucking house and pretend like that's how I'm going to make friends and influence people, because that's not what happened. I need to get out there. I need the world to see who I am. And so I watch these goofy fictional movies that is typically the province of, or at least stereotypically the province of the female, mostly just to remind myself that things do exist out there. That was a really long-winded fucking way to say that, but it serves a completely different purpose for me now than it did then. Like then I was just living vicariously when I was in elementary school, middle school, but now I don't watch it to experience things that I've already experienced in life through fictional characters. It's more or less I watch it because I enjoy the jokes and I like the stories or whatever. But more for the point, it's to remind myself those things are out there because it's easy to forget that those things are out there. And there's some really good fucking rom-coms that you can watch even if you're not into rom-coms. Like I've got a list of like 5 that are just like must watches for everyone. But anyway, that was way too much talking for not that much point.
I had one thing, something along those lines, a change in scope, but it was more of a change of character for me. But it was something that maybe not necessarily in movies, but in media in general, something I looked for, like that connection. And that was like in a weird way. Now there was a good reason for it, but it was technically power, right? Like the ability to be not for the sake of being different, but to have like a power of some sort. I talked about this when we talked about My Hero, and one of the reasons I clicked so much with Deku as a character is that for the first episode, he had to come to the realization that he could not be a superhero at all, right? He just, in his current state, it was not going to happen. Now, eventually he does get to live that dream, which is another cool thing, but he had that little arc, a very small one at the beginning, where he came to the realization that I cannot be like these others. I cannot be strong. I do not have powers. I cannot be a superhero. I cannot help people in that manner, right? And eventually All Might's like, I'm going to give you powers, blah, blah, blah. That's fine. But I was kind of in a way like that I liked superhero stuff. Well, the idea of superheroes, because I never really got too far into comics. But like seeing in one way or another, like powerful people in media, I always thought was interesting because I always kind of wished, like directly, like I had multiple times where I wished like I had a superpower of some kind, even if it was just something that I could use to like help others kind of thing. It was a very, very weird element of my childhood where it would like bring me to the point where it saddened me. And it never brought me down to the point of like a depression or anything along those lines, but it would straight sadden me that I could not directly affect someone else's life in the means of like saving people in danger. And it was really weird. And I looked for that in films. Like I looked for people that were the person that's like, I'm here to save you. I'm here to rescue you. Even if it wasn't in like an element that was different from the norm, like stuff about police officers or firefighters, I always found that character, I always connected with that character in a way where like they're living out the thing that I can't do, at least in the realms of supernatural. And eventually I moved away from it, and it wasn't something that kind of plagued my thoughts in that way, but it was something where I would watch films and where there is the guy that is the strong man. He can solve the problems with some means of supernatural ability. I always thought that was cool. That's why I like Power Rangers a lot, because I always thought they were cool. Although a lot of it was like friends and shit like that, but they had the means of solving issues with like just brute power for the most part. And I always thought they were really cool because they kind of fulfilled that thing that I could not do because it just wasn't a realm of possibility in the reality that we exist in. And eventually I moved away from it.
I kind of understand that. I can understand that a lot. I always gravitated towards hero types.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't as important that they be superheroes, although from a very young age I wanted to be Batman. And once I found out that I couldn't be Batman, I just gave up on all that shit completely.
Bro, let me know.
I was bitter. I was a bitter motherfucker.
Bro, let me know. I'll kill your parents for you. And that's step one. And then we'll go from there.
Yeah, step one. Yeah. I read this thing on the internet, a little side story, where this guy was talking. I think it was a meme where a dude was relating a story about how he went to a party once and everybody was talking about like their parents, and somebody asked him about his parents, and he's like, well, my mom's dead. and everybody did the typical like get quiet, oh man, I'm sorry to hear that, etc., until he heard one girl in the back say, oh, you're halfway to being Batman. And like that was the beginning of his only lifelong friendship. Like, and I was like, that is something I would do, like totally. That's fucking perfect. You need to marry that chick like right away. But the hero types, which were always, because it was something I empathized with, because I was always ostracized because I was ahead of everyone else when it came to intelligence. And that's not like me patting my own shoulder. It was to the point where like I was constantly being treated different by teachers and school staff because I had this apparently higher than normal IQ, although I never felt that way or really remember noticing a lot of the results except for just getting more advanced work than everybody else did. I never felt like I was different, but I was always treated differently, and they fucking hated me for some reason. And so I'd watch movies where you'd have a guy who like saves the world or figures out something important or defeats the bad guy, and he always starts off like a normal Joe like me, but maybe there was just something a little different about him. And that kind of stuff was something that I would gravitate towards. It's not something that I really feel the need to, I can't think of any specific movies. Like you might say something like Flight of the Navigator or any movie where like somebody's chosen because of some special trait or whatnot. But like it's not the kind of movie that I feel the need to watch anymore. But I used to go out of my way. Like if I found out, oh, this kid's in this movie because for some reason he's just unnaturally gifted with karate, or he's fucking really good with math, or his history skills help him save the world, stupid shit. Like I would have to watch that movie. Like it doesn't matter how stupid it sounded. Like I would have to go watch it and see this kid who is ostracized because he's different, like end up saving the world and getting the girl, and also, maybe getting the ability to shoot lasers from his dick or something. I mean, who cares? Like, anything is a perk once you're a hero, and I always wanted to be a hero.
Yeah, no, I got you. All right.
But when it comes to movies, though, I think that I'd say about half of the movies that I grew up on, I watch for the exact same reasons I do now. But there are definitely some out there where it's very much entirely nostalgia. It's entirely living off of that old feeling. I just think it's kind of cheap to immediately assume something's nostalgia.
Yeah, I feel you. What was I going to say?
Okay, so our 2 Christmas movies.
Oh, yeah. We're going to be starting our I need
Was
to make
it 12 Days of Christmas?
I don't know. I need to make another jingle, I think, because I made a jingle for the Halloween one, so I need to make another jingle for the Christmas stuff. But that will come when we actually review, so that'll be next week. But I'm thinking what to call it.
That song. So let's see let's see if it's 12 Days of Christmas.
How about this? Holy shit, Santa's coming for my ass with the Thought Patrol podcast. Week 1. What's the first 2 films, Sean?
Okay, so we're gonna do 12 Christmas movies for the month.
Yep.
Yeah, because the song is the 12 Days of Christmas, so the 12 movies of Thought Patrol or whatever the fuck you called it.
No, bro, it's gonna be called Holy Shit, Santa's Coming for My Ass with the Thought Patrol podcast.
That's horrible.
Yeah.
And not Christmassy at all. So we're gonna start with the Santa Chronicles, which is playing on Netflix with Kurt Russell. Okay. It looks fairly awful, so I'm excited.
Wonderful.
The elves are like CG, like little beast people. And like Santa steals a car. Like I'm like, the only good thing about this movie has got to be Kurt Russell. But I am absolutely. It's like it's there. It's too easy. We have to see that.
Works for me. And what else?
So the Santa Chronicles on Netflix. And the other movie I am checking on now. And this is, let's see, we are going to rent Elf on
Oh
Amazon Prime.
fuck yeah, bro.
I actually own the DVD or the Blu-ray. I don't remember which, but we're gonna do Elf, which you can rent on Vudu, YouTube, Amazon Prime, Google Play, or iTunes. We're probably gonna pick it up on Amazon Prime, and we're gonna watch the Santa Chronicles on Netflix, and we'll get back to y'all in a week.
Sounds like a plan. One really good
Now,
movie, one really bad movie.
yes. Now, as for my unboxing, I will be putting the photos up into somewhere on Discord so you can take a look. I unboxed as I said this earlier, the $399 special edition for Darksiders 3. It came with a Darksiders wall scroll of Fury. It's basically one of the artworks that goes on the game case of Fury and her whip. It comes with a Darksiders necklace, which is that horse skull emblem that's on all of the Darksiders property. It comes with the soundtrack in a special case. It comes with an art book, a really nice art book with a lot of concept sketches and things like that. It's pretty interesting. It comes with a steel book, which is beautiful. And I want to say, it comes with some DLC. It's armor. Every one of the games had a special armor that you either had to unlock or was DLC. In this case, it's DLC. And then the rest of what it came with was 4 statues, 3 10-inch statues and 1 11-inch statue. 3 of the horsemen, for some reason they did not feature the 4th horseman. Strife is not in there. But it comes with a statue of Fury, a statue of War, and a statue of Death. And then the 4th statue is Vulgrim, which is the merchant, the shopkeep that you buy your shit from. All of the statues are well detailed. They're well made. They are not phenomenal. They're not top quality. The bases, while well constructed, are hollow, so they're not super heavy. Although 2 of the bases are heavier than the other 2. Vulgrim is hollow. He feels more like a hard plastic. It's supposed to be polystone. They're all supposed to be polystone. They really don't feel that way. They feel more like a high quality plastic. But it's a very heavy plastic. Not the heaviest, but it's heavy enough. The details are all there. But if I had to rate the statues overall, I'd probably give them like maybe a 6.5 or a 7 out of 10. Like, they could have been much more powerful. Like the statue that came with, for instance, Dark Arkham City?
Okay.
Arkham Knight. The statue that came with Arkham Knight, the one where it's Gotham and it's all in black, and then you have Batman rising above the city. That one is brilliantly detailed. It lights up. It's a very, very nice piece. The statue of the Native American dude that came with the special edition of Assassin's Creed 3 was very well detailed. It was vinyl. It had a good feel to it. It felt very high quality. These do not feel that level of quality, and they don't quite look that level of quality. They have, like, the for instance, Death's skin tone feels a little airbrushed. I would say that I expected much higher quality statues than what I got with it. They're not bad, and I don't regret purchasing it. I only put down like $5 a month for like a year or some shit like that. I only put little bits and pieces here and there, which is a lesson for next time I say I couldn't save up for a car. Like, I know I can do that shit now. It's just going to take me a long time. I have been doing that too, by the way. I have a savings account I've been dumping shit into, but it was important to me because I love the Darksiders franchise and it's never gotten enough love. And I wanted these statues because they do look nice. And on a shelf, when you're not sticking them right up to your face and twirling them around, there's really no complaint. And even then, they are good. And if you break up, $60 for the game, and then, like, say $10, $15 for the wall scroll, and maybe $8 or $10 for the necklace, and then say $20 or $40 for each statue, because the real thing that makes these statues valuable isn't the quality that went into them, although they are good and there is enough quality there. I just expected more detail than what you see in the game. Like every other statue I've gotten with a video game has always been extra detailed. They've always put a lot of extra quality into it because you're normally paying like an extra 40 or $50 for it. But these don't feel like $40 statues. They don't feel like $50 statues. They feel like $25 or $30 statues. And if you want to do, you know, it feels like I have like 120 or 150, maybe $200 worth of statues at most.
Okay.
So I don't feel like they are giving me my full money's worth, but I'm still happy with it. It also came with this amazing collector's box, but there's a really, really high durability, like high quality cardboard. And it's got like unique artwork all the way around it. I took some pictures of that. The presentation was nice. There's a lot of really high quality foam in there. I think they could have done better, but I don't regret purchasing it because I am a fan and I'm glad to have these pieces to add to my collection. But if I was to rate the overall quality of everything I got, I would probably say, yeah, I'd probably give it maybe a 7 out of 10. The statues are nice. They're not as nice as I expected them to be or as they could have been, but they're still very good. It's just I really thought they'd be a lot more. When I took the pictures, I did not put the weapons in their hands because you can't rebox them. The only one that's holding his weapons is Death, and that's because he comes that way. But both War, whose sword is very clearly just hollow plastic. It's very detailed and it looks very good, but it's definitely hollow plastic. And Fury, her whip, it comes separate as well. Both of those, you couldn't box them after they're holding their weapons. And Fury also, since they are kind of made of a denser plastic or like a lighter vinyl, she sits at an angle. She's launching off of a wall, so she pegs into a wall. And I'm worried that over time, gravity will slowly pull her down. So I may have to look into a brace or something like that. But I would say when you see the pictures, yeah, I tried to take some decent pictures. There's only one room in the house right now that's bright enough. And I got it at night, and I wasn't about to wait to open the fucking thing. But they did a really good job of the presentation. Overall, I would say it's worth it. Each GameStop only got one of each. They got one for Xbox, one for PlayStation. And the box had some dings, some stamps, basically. Like it sat or was pressed upon like a piece of coiled up metal or a loop of wire or something that was on, say, a floor, like a hard floor. And so it left an imprint on the cardboard that I'm going to have to iron out. And that bothers me, but it's kind of hard to order anything from GameStop and get it undamaged. Which is unfortunate, but true.
Yeah, I try. I've had good. I mean, I don't buy too many collector's editions, but I've had good luck with Amazon. So
I might go through Amazon next time I'm going for an investment this big. I will say this much: it wasn't worth $400. I could have bought a brand new PlayStation Pro with and added in a 3 terabyte hard drive.
Could have gotten a
4
decent
terabyte hard drive.
Could have gotten a decent laptop for the podcast.
I don't even know if 400 would be enough for a laptop good enough to
all you got to do is
quality for the podcast.
Manage Discord, dude. You could do that on a fucking a Chromebook. Discord is not that intensive, but okay.
My phone's more powerful than the laptop I have, and my phone shits a brick when it tries to do it. But overall, I would say for anyone who's not a diehard Darksiders fan, it's not worth it. The statues just weren't high enough quality. If they were up to the level of some of the other ones I mentioned, it'd be different. All of the Arkham special editions all came with really high quality stuff, really high quality statues. This didn't feel like they put quite the same level of detail or materials into it, but they are nice. You can decide for yourselves when you see the pictures online. The game itself is good. It's really good. If anybody's ever played Darksiders, the first one was an homage to Zelda. I wouldn't call it a Zelda clone because it definitely held its own identity and told a fairly cohesive story. And then the second one tried to add traversal and add a more nimble fighting into it and put you in this semi-open world where as you progress
Oh.
through dungeons and side dungeons you don't even have to go into because the only benefit is loot. There's a shitload of loot. So you can kind of borderlands your way through it and keep getting new weapons that are slight upgrades and, you know, relics and things like that. And because there was so much you could do, it lost a little bit of focus, but the story was still good. And it did expand on the universe, and you did kind of see how death handled things as opposed to war. And in the new one, you play Fury, and Fury's the most business of the four. War's a bit of a loose cannon, and he kind of has his one function that he gives a shit about, and that's what he does. You know, and Death has a very different mentality. Fury is strictly business. She gets her assignment, she completes her assignment, she goes home. She doesn't fuck around, she doesn't break rules, she doesn't give a shit about anything else. That's what she does. She's an assassin. You know, go do this, come back. Go do this, come back. She's very professional. So she gets stuck in a situation parallel to the other two. And the fighting system's very different this time around. It still tells you a fairly straightforward story, you know, very comic book inspired. And the fighting system, each enemy has to be approached a specific way. You have to use specific tactics for every enemy. And there's a large number of enemy types, and every enemy type has to be battled a different way. It's not just button mashing a handful of fun combos and feeling like a badass in the first Darksiders, and it's not the traversal and dodging mechanic that you used in Darksiders 2. And this new one, each enemy has to you use a specific strat on, and when you have 2, 3, and 4 enemies, it becomes rather difficult. It takes a cue from Dark Souls in that aspect.
Okay.
So if you try and use the same approach on enemies, you'll die in 2 or 3 hits. So you have to learn the strategy on that specific enemy and use it on that enemy while trying to dodge and avoid the other enemies. So combat is a lot more intense now, and you die a lot more. And don't get me wrong, I played the other ones on hardcore, so I died a lot there too. I don't remember what the hardcore level was, but the other games could be difficult, but this one I'm going to be cursing and throwing controllers here and there because it is very unforgiving if you don't use the strategy that is needed to defeat that specific enemy type. And the boss fights are like they're fucking epic. They're really, really good. Like as you go through the game, much like in Dark Souls and the other Dark Souls games, when you learn the system and you get stronger, you get more powerful. And as you get more powerful, things get slightly more easy each time. Even when they introduce new enemy types, you're still able to dispatch the other enemy types with the same thrift. You know, so you really start to feel like a fucking badass. And the bosses are intense. Like the bosses, they make them into fucking full-blown events, which is very, very cool. So they take the difficulty level of the other ones and they just kind of ramp it up a lot. It's not, I wouldn't say that it's too difficult, and I wouldn't say it's like Dark Souls level impossible almost, but I would say it's fairly difficult. And if you enjoy games like Dark Souls, which are extremely intensive on the battle strategy, this game will be up your alley, because where it and all of the Darksiders games really shine is that neat comic book art style and the fighting, like the combat. The combat is you do feel like you're a demigod kind of thing.
Okay.
It's very fun.
Well, I'm glad you're enjoying it.
I would give it, I'd probably give it like, yeah, I'm super enjoying it. I'd probably give it like maybe an 8.5 or an 8 out of 10. Like it's worth the money. Like I wouldn't bother with the gifts, with the collector's editions. Maybe the Fury one, because the standard collector's edition is just the Fury statue, not the other 3.
Okay.
And if you can get that for a good price, that might be fun because she's a good looking figure. But it's really you can just pick up the game and have a lot of fun with it. And I think they're going to have some DLC coming for it soon. And hopefully the game does well, and then we'll get the fourth game to round it out. And we'll be able to play Strife because so far all of the characters have had ranged attacks, but Strife is the only one where his primary attacks are ranged. So his melee is his secondary, and on everyone else, their melee is the primary, and any ranged attacks are secondary.
Interesting. I might pick it up if it goes on sale at one point. There's just so much other shit that I'm playing right now that I can't justify spending $60 on the game.
If you do that, make sure you go on Steam and buy the first two. They're like $5 each.
I own them. I own them already.
Both the War Mastered and the Definitive.
I got them for it was part of a Humble Bundle month. They came with that.
Play through those first so that you're up to date on the story because there's reoccurring characters and stuff that some of it won't make sense if you haven't done the others.
Okay.
They tried to make it so newcomers could jump in, but you're going to get more out of it if you are already familiar with what War's up to and what Death's up to and so on, because there's a lot of story. The doors really fly off the fucking hinges near the end of the second game, and Fury's shit just fucking takes it to a whole new level.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad you're enjoying it. I'll probably wrap up this episode. Episode was it 76? It's crazy. We're getting that much closer to 100. It's not that much closer. It's like 34 episodes away. No, 24. I can't count. I'm dead on the inside. So before we go for the night, Shawn, you know what time it is. Give everyone what they've...
Pieces on your pink parts.
Beautiful. And before we go, as always, I shall leave you all with a thought. Ketchup was sold...
No, leave it. Let him go look it up.
No, I already got it, boy. One step ahead.
Really?
Yeah. One step ahead. Ketchup was sold in the 1830s as medicine.